Hello, everyone. Happy winter, happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever holiday you celebrate. I'm calling it fall today because I had a terrible fall before we got on to record this. So if I'm a little low energy, that is why. I'm on some painkillers. I'm in a little bit of pain, but nothing can make me feel better than being with my four dandiest friends talking about Christmas movies, Christmas characters today. We've already done Christmas movies last year, so I needed to kind of pivot and think of something else. So Christmas characters is what we're doing today. Let's just bring in this fun bunch, starting with Mr. Matty Christmas. How's it going, Matt? Welcome to the show.
Doing pretty well. Isn't it the last day of fall anyway? Were you just celebrating?
Hmm? Is
Isn't
it the
today the
last?
last day of fall? I believe
Oh,
so.
the summer solstice or the fall solstice? I don't know how solstice. Winter solstice would
Winter
be what it
solstice.
is going to be. Yeah. So I guess it's still technically when we're recording this is fall. So it made sense that the last day of fall, I fell on my ass and probably broke my coccyx. So
You were just celebrating the day.
right. But thank you for joining, Matt, and Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
Merry
And I'm
Christmas.
excited to talk about some characters. We've also got three clauses with us. And I'm not talking about escape clauses and all that. I'm talking about Santa Clauses. First, we have Kelsey Claus. She's spelling her clause with a K. Claus out. How's it going, Kels?
It's going great, Jill. I like the alliteration, and it just made sense
Mm-hmm.
that Claus would come after Kelsey for obvious reasons. And I'm excited to be here. I love talking Christmas.
Or if we're talking about the Netflix film, you could be Kelsey Klaus.
I was about to say I like Kels Klaus.
Kelsey Klaus.
Kels Klaus.
Kelsey
I love
Klaus.
it. I
Klaus.
love that even
Yeah,
more.
go get an accordion, some Wiener Schnitzer or whatever, and you'll be like a little German Santa Claus. It'll be fun.
Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. And next to the chat, we got a Chad. We got a Chadwick Claus. How's it going, Chad? Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
What did you say? I'm kidding. Welcome to the show. We're happy to have you, our Christmas fiend. How's it going?
Sprinkling some cheer all over Dylan.
All over my tailbone.
He needs it. He's breaking bones. He's partying too hard. There we go.
Partying too
There you
hard.
go.
At the
There's your
top of my
cheer, buddy.
stairs. Thank you, buddy. I
Let's
appreciate it.
draft some characters today.
Yay. I feel like Kevin McAllister would have a field day with me today because I'm in a very vulnerable, injured spot. I'm sure he would just get a kick out of what happened to me an hour ago. Anyway, also joining us, not a host of any specific show on the channel, but you know her. She is your reigning MCU Trivia champ. She has been on draft day before. She's won draft day before. It is Stacy Claus. How you doing, Stacy?
I am ready for Christmas and ready for bed.
Yes,
So let's
one of
do
those things
this.
has to happen first. We have to draft some things before you can go to bed, but you're still dressed for it in those Christmas PJs, which I love to see. Welcome to the show. I do want to say I'm going to start making it a New Year's tradition where I will say the winner of the last draft on the beginning of the episode because I always forget about it, and then I sometimes remember at the very tail end, and I'm like, oh, I forgot. Tail end, bad choice of words there. But I am going to find the draft for our food draft. It was pretty close. A lot of people got votes, but it ended up being Kevin, a first-time drafter, Kevin Marino, winning the food draft with his chef Cuban sandwich, his Bet It All on Black Garlic Burger from Bob's Burgers, his steak and eggs from Twister, his Big Matilda chocolate cake, and his Ned Flanders hot cocoa from the Simpsons movie. So congratulations, Kevin, on a well-drafted draft. I will say Brian Nussbaum was very close behind. So very congratulations to you, Kevin. Cheers to you.
I have a bone to pick with you guys in your food draft.
Please don't say bone.
I have a tailbone to pick
Too
with
soon.
you.
Okay.
Congratulations on winning, Kevin. Where was Denethor eating the hell out of that tomato on your draft?
Listen, I brought up an honorable mentions Denethor's feast, but I think the tomato being a single ingredient, I think people maybe picked more dishes.
He
did,
and he ate so menacingly
on the bone. And it's gross.
Hey, maybe we'll have to do another one for next Thanksgiving because we're already on our second Christmas draft. So,
did anybody do Sam's potatoes?
Yep, Malcolm did draft the stew.
Perfect.
So we did get some LOTR representation there. But today we're doing Christmas characters, and how that's going to work, we're doing Christmas characters, not performances. So it could be a shitty ass performance as long as you love the character. Even though I think all of these have great performances as well. But some of them are silent, so that's why we're going to draft just characters. So random draft order, as we always do, will be selected by a wheel. It will not be on my phone because I smashed my phone to bits when I hurt myself, so I'm doing it on the computer. Draft is snake, meaning whoever has the fifth pick in round one will have the first pick in round two, and so on. For this draft, you must take one of the following. one hero / protagonist. So you're like main characters, as long as they're not like villains or Santas. So if they are a Santa, they'll be in a different category. One villain, so a Christmas villain. Much naughtier than nice. One non-human character. So if there's someone who is not human, that's where they'll go, unless they are like the main villain. Then like you can draft them in villain as well. One supporting or bit character. I envision this as like your one scene wonders, but again, supporting can be pretty broad to some people. So however you may interpret that, we may have conversations about it later. But one Santa. So basically, Santa's its own category. So pick your favorite Santa from a movie. Any interpretation of Santa can be real, fiction, whatever. If anyone disagrees with the eligibility of a pick, they can veto, but you need at least 3 out of 4 other people to veto in order to overturn the pick. So you can't just say veto and it's automatically overturned. You guys are pros, though. You will know all that. We are drafting characters, not performances. So I'll stress that one more time. And don't tip picks. I mean, obviously, if you're talking about a movie, you can bring up other characters. That's fine. But don't foreshadow stuff, because sometimes you tip other people off and they might steal your pick. So here we go.
Dylan, I have a suggestion.
What's up, Matt?
If you have envisioned something in your mind for a rule for the category, you should probably let us know, because one scene wonder was not any of my character. Supporting characters.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be probably drafting a very supporting bit character, but as long as they're not like the main character of the movie, just because we already have all those characters, all those slots, and Christmas movies are so full of those like just great that character. Like I don't want to say any, but all right, let's get to the wheel. This is gonna determine the spot in the order, not necessarily. Is my thing frozen?
I wonder with it not being on his phone if it's as rigged as normal.
Well,
Yeah, I wonder if I need to
it seems to be completely
He'll
frozen.
be Chad.
So I'm going to have to give me a second. I'm going to pivot here. I'm going to try to do it on a Google Chrome browser instead of a Safari browser. So real quick, let me just get a wheel of names here. I believe it's going to be the wheel. Yeah, it's the MCU wheel. So let me really quickly just write D, S, C, M, K. I'm just going to do our letters just to make it quick, so you guys don't have to stall any longer.
Which one am I?
I believe it'll be M. So
I call being D.
All right. Nope, that's not how we're gonna do it, because my brain collapsed. All right. It's gonna be C.
There it
That
is.
goes for, I think Chad is gonna be C today. Chad, where do you want to be in the draft order today?
I'll give you all guys presents today, and I'll go 5th. I guess that's giving you presents, right? You get to pick before me. So there you go. I'll go 5th.
All right, so Chad's going to go 5th, and now we got another spin. Spin is in. KMS is a bad what do you call it? Abbreviation.
Better than PMS.
K. All right, K, Kelsey. Where are you going to go in the order?
I thought about this all day.
Okay, sorry.
And you didn't come up with an answer?
Third, okay.
I couldn't come up with an answer.
I was going to say, you thought about it all day. It's okay. Here we go. DSM, SMD, MSD.
There we go.
Yes, it's going to be Stacy Claus. Stacy, where would you like to go in the order?
I'm going first.
All right.
First overall. All right. DM. Slide into them.
It looks like PM.
Don't, please.
Does
Slide
look
into my
PM.
DM.
Sometimes.
Oh.
Maddie, it's you. Where do you want to go?
I'm gonna go second.
Second. All right. So that means that I am going 4th, I believe. Yes.
Yes.
4th. Interesting. Very fun. I don't think. Yeah, I've gone 4th before. What am I kidding? All right. So the order is set. It is Stacy, then Matt, then Kelsey, then me, then Chad. And if you're listening to a podcast, me is Dyl. All right. So Stacy, you have the first pick, guys. I'm delirious. I'm on so many painkillers. Stacy, you didn't think you were the only delusional, tired one today.
Lord.
It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Stacy,
Yep.
what are you gonna pick first?
I don't even need to look at my list, and anything after this is gravy. My all-time favorite Christmas character, my protagonist, my hero, is Buddy the Elf.
Aw, yay!
Nice.
Buddy the Elf just has Christmas joy running through his veins, and I love him and his silliness, and I love fish out of water humor, and I love his joy and his optimism, and the fact that no matter how mean people are, he just still is kind of naive about it and loves them. And Elf is my favorite movie, and Buddy the Elf is my favorite.
I love it. Yep, high on my list.
Great
Probably
pick.
my number 1 or 2 hero.
Yeah.
So definitely a good pick. And first overall, it fits for this draft for sure. Whether or not it is actually a pick, but it sounds like it really is. So very great pick. You know what I was trying to say, like whether or not it was strategic because you had first overall, or if she was genuinely your favorite.
Well, I
doesn't matter,
wanted
'cause it's
to
great.
be
It's good
first
either way.
so I could get Buddy. Like I was
Perfect.
afraid if I wasn't first, I wouldn't get him.
You would not have gotten him.
And I
I'm
don't
almost certain of
care.
it. Yeah.
Like for all the other ones, I'll be happy with whatever.
Nice. Love it. Any thoughts on Buddy the Elf? We all love him. What's your
Oh,
favorite?
yeah.
I love Buddy the Elf. He was not on my list.
Ooh.
But Elf is interesting because there's a thing about Christmas movies that kind of supersedes the idea of movie quality, like the normal movie criticism. So like a great Christmas movie doesn't necessarily have to be a good movie.
Right.
To me, Elf is not a great movie, but it is a great Christmas movie.
Mhm.
I love watching it, even if there are things in it I don't love, but I love it. And Buddy the Elf, I think it's one of Will Ferrell's best comedy roles, because it's something that he never does that really is kind of upsetting. I love it when he plays sincere.
Mhm.
And you rarely get that out of him playing that sincere, and he does in spades in that movie. Like it's so sincere, and I love that.
Great.
I just want to say I have watched it 3 times this month, once in the theater, and I laughed every time.
Yeah, it
I
never,
pre-laugh.
never gets tired. Because
I laugh at what I know is
the more you
coming.
watch it, the more it's ingrained in you, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like the Christmas movie thing. Yeah, it's like these things that are just become a part of your tradition, and like you can quote it back. Like I could quote the entire movie. It's weird,
Yeah.
and it's only been in my life for how many years now? It's not like a
20?
movie from like the
20.
60s,
It
70s,
just
but-
turned 20.
Yeah, exactly. But it's already become like in the popular culture. You know, it is a classic at this point, which you can't say about many movies from the 2000s really yet. But it already is.
Sorry, Chad, I kind of stepped on you
Okay.
starting to talk.
Totally okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I disagree a little bit with Matt and his take. I'd love to have a conversation another time. Just saying, like, it's not a great movie, but like, because I think it is. But I do think we agree a lot on it's at least a great Christmas movie. And the character. Maddie said something that I absolutely love. That Will Ferrell in that role is super sincere and super like genuine. When I feel like a lot of critics of the movie or of Will Ferrell in the movie wanted to say, well, it's just a stupid man-child thing. It's like Step Brothers kind of a deal, and it's completely not.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, right.
I think that's why, I think people who underrate it might give it another chance. But the actual character, I think, is one of the most pure characters of all time. I remember seeing this when I was like 13 or 12 or 13 in the theater, and it just became an instant classic, an instant favorite. I watch it every year. I might not watch it as much as Stacy does, but I do watch it every year for sure. And yeah, this character is perfect. There's that one shot of after he's basically saved the day and, inspired so many people to, have the Christmas spirit and to, do things they never thought they would do, like sing loudly in front of people, him just like looking over the back of that sleigh at all the people that he inspired. And he's now a true elf. It makes me cry every time, and it like lifts my heart every single time. So this was a great pick, and no, you wouldn't have gotten it if you hadn't have gone first, I'm sure, or maybe second or something like that.
I don't even think you would have gotten it, Chad, by the time we got to you. I feel like either Kelsey or I would have sniped
Well,
it.
I'm the only one who probably wouldn't have taken it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I
Maybe
was
Kelsey wouldn't have. I don't know.
because it was definitely one
The
of the
lucky
first.
figment. I got lucky figment.
Definitely one of the first names I wrote down was Buddy the Elf in Heroes, and I was like, it's hands down one of the best. And I thought about maybe going earlier to get something like that, but I got others I can pick. So
Yeah, Kelsey, was it high on your list, or was it on your list?
Buddy the Elf was definitely on my protagonist list. Not high, because I know there's some hardcore elf fans among me that I know would probably deserve it more than I do. I will say, though, I just rewatched Elf yesterday. And because, I'm going through all the Christmas movies leading up to Christmas. And I will say on this rewatch, I was like, wow, this movie kind of is more than just like a comedy of like, Will Ferrell being a man-child, because that was kind of my take on the movie. Like, just like in my head, I was like, oh yeah, it's a goofy little Will Ferrell comedy, whatever. But I was watching it this time around and I was like, oh, this movie kind of has like some nice little layers of him trying to figure out who he is and the relationship that he has with his dad and like all these different things going on in that movie. And I will say, I'm embarrassed to say that during the doctor scene, I was like, oh my God, that's Jon Favreau, the director.
He
Yeah.
directed some
not
MCU movies.
that I
You should-
didn't
you should
know.
look him up.
You should see him.
That guy, he's gonna do big things. Let me tell you, you got to keep an eye on him. Not that I didn't know that was Jon Favreau before, but I was like, oh, he's the okay. I'm following. But anyway,
He's
Buddy
the
Delp
Jon
is a
Favreau now.
yeah, exactly. It's a great number one pick, and it's a great way to start this off. So it makes
There you
sense that it's going away right off the bat.
I have one more thing about Buddy the Elf
Yeah.
before I make my pick. Chad actually reminded me of it, like of kind of his reaction to things. One of my favorite shots and like sequences in the movie is when he takes her to go look at the tree in the shop window, and he's the awe on his face is so, like I said, he's very genuine in this role. So the awe on his face is so real and genuine. And then when she takes him to go see the one at Rock Center, and he's blown away, I really love that. That is some of the best Will Ferrell acting.
It's a beautiful.
It
is
their
a little.
I was just gonna say their little date they go on is one of the cutest things.
Oh my God, it's so adorable.
It is cute, but considering how I was about to say, this is just a slight little New Yorker nitpick, is that the fact that it's just way too empty at that time of year. Like,
That's exactly what I was thinking, Jill.
Like-
oh
like,
my
they would
God,
be
there's
like-
no one
they
on
would
the
be like,
street.
wait, is that the tree?
No, literally.
Maybe that's just my cynicism this time of year, living in New York and seeing so many people. Maybe they just happen to go on a good day, and they just
Love
happen to see that. All right, there we go. Matt, what is going to be
place to put him so you can see him? But that's all right.
What about? I don't know. I don't know your house well enough. I don't know your house well.
On your
Matt.
shoulder? Take it to your shoulder.
Maybe just
Matt,
Matt,
all
what's
right.
gonna be your first pick?
So I am going to go. I'm going to swing for the fence a little bit and let the jury take it on if this counts. And I'm doing this first because if it doesn't, then there's a second one that probably will get gobbled up before I can get to it. So I'm going here. So I'm going to tell you what it is first, and then I'll talk about it once we decide if it counts. I want to choose for my villain the Wet Bandits.
Mm-hmm.
That's on my
That'll
list.
count?
That's Wet
That'll
Bandit.
count
I
as
think you
both
have to
of
take
them.
them together. It's like if
Yeah,
you
I think you
can't
have to
take
take them
Timon
together.
without Pumbaa.
Right.
If you look at my list, I wrote down the Wet Bandits.
Me
I
too.
did
Okay,
Wet
okay.
Bandits.
Bummer,
Okay.
dude.
So I want the Wet Bandits
You were
How
worried
a
it was going to be
bummer.
vetoed because it's two characters or because they're not villains.
because it's two characters.
Okay.
Now-
'Cause I can see an
No,
argument.
it's
All
Here's
right.
the
Well,
That, you can see the argument. No, I know. I'm going to make the argument if anybody picks him, the other person. That you're picking.
Well, here's the question: Are the sticky bandits still on the table?
Well, that was actually going to be a question that I asked. Is that like
I don't think.
if they are taken, if you take someone from here and they play the same character or a version of the character in a different movie,
That's
does
well,
that
okay.
count? Like,
I think
Depends.
you can take the same character. Well, I mean, we have Santa, so Santa's going to be in
Right.
multiple movies. I think there's one character in particular we're all thinking of that you have multiple versions of that character you could take,
Oh,
but I don't think you could take the same characters
same.
in sequels if that
that
makes
makes
in
sense.
the
That's
same
my
scene,
personal-
like in the same within the same universe.
Fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, like-
takes the same
yeah, like,
character.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if
Okay.
there was an elf too, I couldn't take Buddy as my hero. for
Yeah.
Elf 2.
So he
Yeah.
gets
Like,
the Wet
if there
Bandits
was
and
100
the-
different versions
and the
of
sticky
movies with
bandits.
Buddy,
You get
that'd be
them.
cool.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
get Harry and Mark. That is
Yeah.
who you're picking. So you get the
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Wet Bandits. This movie, I was a child when this came out, obviously. This was my first introduction to Joe Pesci. So to me, for my entire life, Joe Pesci was the one of the Wet Bandits from Home Alone. It was also my first introduction. It was not my first introduction to Daniel Stern, but I didn't know it at the time because Daniel Stern did the narration on The Wonder Years. So that was my first introduction to Daniel Stern. But this was the first place that I had seen him. And so anyway, there's just something so brilliant about their comedy and the way that they play off each other. There's obviously a straight man and a fool, like that's kind of that's their dynamic. But the way that they both get to be really funny a lot really makes me happy. I rewatch those movies with my kids a lot, like, and we rewatched them this time. And in the sequel, every single time, I get so uncomfortable with how damaged Marv gets.
You got like cinder blocks to the head or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
in both movies. I mean, they get so damaged in those movies.
They
But
break their pockets. I don't know.
yeah,
Probably.
to me, they are the quintessential Christmas villains, and they get more than just a one note thing. They get their own scenes without the villain, without the character, because I don't want to say it because Dyl Pickle, without Kevin. They get their own scenes like that. They get scenes together where they get to talk about things, and you really get to know them. And I don't know, they've always just been my favorites. They're my favorite parts of those movies.
Yeah,
altogether.
I also love the setup of like him being the fake cop at the beginning too, because that's
Yes.
such a clever way of like, oh, how do they know this house? How do they how do they suss it out? Because that's like the one thing with every burglary is like they always wonder like, well, how did they know how to go to that house?
It's the logistics,
right? Which also makes them frightening, like legitimately frightening villains. And I also think there's something to be said about the enjoyment factor. Like you enjoy watching them despite them being villains, whereas some of these villains, it's like, you're fucking with Christmas, piss off, you asshole.
Right.
Whereas this one is just like, the wet bandits, like there's not that like hardcore like fuck you,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe there is. All right, any thoughts?
Yeah.
Cowabubber, dude. This was like the reason why I wanted to go first, partly was because I wanted to snatch up the wet bandits from Home Alone 1 and 2. So it makes sense that it's the second pick. And exactly what you're saying, Dyl, like they're so fun to watch, and it's so fun to watch those sequences that it's like you dislike them because you don't want them to obviously to like win or steal anything in any way, but like there's no part of you that like really aggressively hates them either. They're just like so silly goofy. So I think that they're the perfect antithesis to the main hero in those movies. And Maddie Christmas. I'll let you have this one.
How the Matt stole the wet bandits.
Right. You bring up a point that I was going to bring up, but I forgot, which is that they're likable enough for you to enjoy watching them just exist, but they are slimy enough that you still like to watch them get hurt. And they walk a fine line there, which I really dig.
Yeah, I was kind of like just after Matt as far as age goes. So like I wasn't the perfect demographic, but I was like right after it. So this was still like my childhood stuff. Like the first movie came out in the year I was born. So I've always had Home Alone in my life, basically. But yeah, I love one thing that Dylan brought up that I thought was amazing was that this movie's kind of perfect in a way. Like when you think about like how you said something like that, where it's like
I didn't say the movie was, but it was a good setup.
No, but it's like perfect in a way because of how everything works. Everything makes sense and everything flows together. It's kind of like the original Halloween. It's like everything. I'm not saying it's like the same quality of movie, Dylan. I'm talking about like everything is explained, like just so much so like them throwing away Kevin's ticket, how they are off with the head count, just like so many things add up. But going to actual characters in this movie,
that was a cat fight. It was a perfect setup, is what I was trying to say. I don't want to be quoted on saying that I actually liked Home Alone, but I know I do like it. I just don't love it as much as all of you.
Yeah, I adore the film and I adore those characters. I love what they brought. I love how what's gonna happen again? I love how 1 second.
Okay, Stacy, do you have any thoughts before Chad gets back in?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways they're the best part of them. I am also not a huge Home Alone fan. I was a child, but I was a little bit older than Matt, so maybe I don't remember. What year did it come out? 94?
1990.
I think 90.
1990.
90. Okay, so I was like 12. Yeah, because it was Christmas time, so I would have been 12 by then. And I did like it. I like it a lot, but I don't have the same reverence for it a lot of people do. But I think they're great villains, regardless of how much I do or don't like the movie. And they're a lot of fun. They weren't number 1 or number 2 for that matter on my list, but they were on there.
Cool.
Just real quick on the characters. I do think it's great that it's like a straight man, a buffoon. They're like calling each other out on their shit, but like also just like so stupid to get foiled by this kid. He's a very smart kid, but to see them. That wasn't me this time. To see
Sorry,
them,
my fire alarm's.
to see
This
them
is a fun day.
hats and
Dylan breaks a
alarms,
bone. Chad's got a cat fight.
breaks some
Kelsey's on
shit.
fire.
Yeah, so speaking of breaking stuff, that's exactly like Mar falls down the stairs like Dylan did earlier. But actually, they stepping on nails, getting their head lit on fire, and all. What does Joe Pesci do every time? He just goes, frickin'. He can't say any curse words, and it's just so fun to see Joe Pesci, of all people, who would love to be in like a mob movie, cursing up a storm, I'm sure. And here he can't, but he's saying all the things he want to say, but it's all muted. But yeah,
Imagine the R-rated version of this. That'd be great.
Exactly. These characters are just so fun. It's just basically that's why I love that Matt chose these, because they were high up on my list because they're such fun characters, and you love to root against them, obviously, but they're also villains that you want to see coming back again, and they're probably one of the big reasons why none of the other Home Alone movies have worked since. So
there you go.
Perfect.
I would also like to mention since we're talking about Home Alone, I want to mention the opening score, which is kind of a Christmassy horror theme, which I really, really like.
Oh yeah.
Kelsey, it is your pick, but I just want to make sure. Are you okay? Are you?
Oh yeah, everything's fine. Our one fire alarm has like the batteries are dying in it, so whenever we like push it to make it shut up to that, because it's letting us know that the batteries are dying, we're like, we know we have to like push the button, and then the button yells at us for pushing it.
Okay.
So that's all that happened.
Gotcha. Yeah, but this is going to be a pretty hot pick, huh?
Yeah, the hottest
Sorry.
of the picks.
It's a smoking hot pick. What do you got?
So I'm gonna do something that I don't know if is like against the law.
There's no laws here.
There's
vetoes. It's a democracy.
There's no laws when you're talking claws. Okay. Thank you, everyone. That was a great joke that nobody.
I smirked.
I reacted non-verbally to it.
I'm just happy that I'm still awake. So don't be offended if I don't laugh.
All right.
Only
Self
22
proud, I get
picks
it.
left, Stacy.
So I want to take my Santa.
Ooh.
And I want to take Scott Calvin from the Santa Claus.
Okay, fine.
You
Why
worried
would
that
that not
didn't
be
count as a
allowed?
Santa Claus?
I worried that was like too unfair because it's like the Santa and the protagonist. So I was like, I was confused.
Santa
Santa
is the protagonist. He goes in Santa. Yeah.
Who's Santa?
Okay. I just think that character's perfect because, like, you kind of start not really rooting for him in the beginning of the movie. Like, he screws up Christmas dinner. He's divorced from this woman who, like, they have this like bickering little relationship. You can tell it was a messy divorce. He talks smack about the new guy that he's with. And then all of a sudden this miraculous thing happens to him where he kills Santa Claus, then becomes Santa Claus. Like, literally, that's what happens.
That's what happens.
We're not going to beat around the bush.
Do you want us to
murks
veto it?
Santa.
I'm kidding.
And so he becomes Santa, and you just watch this almost other character and famous Christmas movie like character have this beautiful arc of like finding like joy again almost in life as a whole, but especially when it comes to his son and Christmas, obviously, of course. And then, you know, it's just so fun to watch him go through the actual physical transformation of like gaining the weight and growing the facial hair. And that great scene where he's ordering all the food at the regular conference, whatever. I don't work a corporate job, whatever they're called, but they all sit down and eat.
It's a press conference.
And then he like orders all the dessert, and then you know, he's denying it until he no longer can. And at the end of the day, this is like, wow, this is something that he's been choosing to do and that he can't imagine not doing now for the children of the world and his son and himself. So he's just a great Santa. Yeah.
I agree.
This is a movie that I absolutely adore. It's one of my big favorite movies, And the thing about it that makes him such a great Santa is certain moments. It's like the moments towards the end when he's fully realized as Santa. In the first movie, he's like fully realized towards the end. As soon as oh God, what is his name?
Bernard.
Neil.
No, Neil.
Oh.
Thank you, Neil.
Neil.
Neil goes up to him and goes, Santa? And you're just like, oh, he's become Santa even in Neil's eyes.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you have
yeah.
his wife going, Scott,
Jeff
Scott,
Reinhold, is that-
Santa, kind of a deal. So yeah, I love his transformation because it is not the origin story of Santa, the mythical figure. It's the origin story of this Santa, and I love how he becomes that, and his son always believes in him, always believes he can be something like that, because he does start as an asshole, and then he morphs into one of the most like purest characters ever created. So I love this pick. I'm sad that I don't get this pick, but I'm glad that you have it because I know you love it too, and I just think it's such an amazing pick. I have like 4 different Santas I was like fighting over, and so I'm glad this one's off the board because
Okay.
it narrows it down.
Santa was my
Anything I can
category.
do
have
for you,
9
Chad.
I have 9 Santas. I don't know how
Wow.
to decide.
Wow.
This was number 1 on my list. Okay, so a little behind the scenes here for me. It's very rare that I get to include my children on making my lists. And this time I was like, oh, this is perfect. So my kids were all in here and I was like, hey guys, I need to make a list for draft day, and here's the categories. I told them what they were, and I need suggestions. What do you guys got? And my 9-year-old says, Daddy, I've got an idea for Santa. And he said, okay, so Scott Calvin. I said, buddy, that's already number 1 on my list.
You were almost good enough in my eyes.
But okay, so there's a thing in the 90s that happened a lot, which was that the antagonists of the movie, or in the 80s and 90s, were the antagonists of the movie. In retrospect, when we watch it today, was right. Neil and Maureen are right. They're right in this movie. Almost exclusively corrected what they're doing. I don't know about the trying to convince him there's no Santa Claus. I don't know about that, but the rest of it, I mean, they're just right about about the things that they're trying to do to protect this child. I love as a child of divorce, whose father wasn't around and was really just not reliable like Scott Calvin. There was a fantasy inherent within this movie that really appealed to me, which was Dad suddenly becoming interested in what I have to do and being available and that kind of thing. So I really feel for Charlie in this movie. I really like it a lot. But Chad, I think Chad said it right. Like, go from asshole to like this pure character, this pure thing, and really embracing it. And yeah, so this movie hits me in certain ways, but this character, I agree. By the time he's fully Santa, he feels like fully Santa. So I really dig this pick.
Great pick. Stacy, any thoughts on Scott?
Yeah, I like these movies a lot. I don't like Tim Allen, but I like Tim Allen as
Same.
Scott Calvin. I like all 3 movies. I like the show. I just watched season 2 of the
Seen it
show.
yet. It's good.
The Santa Clauses. Yeah, it's an easy like binge watch too. So yeah, I think it's a great pick. He was definitely on my list. And good job.
Sweet. Yeah, I love it. I actually haven't seen the original in a while. It was like one I watched all the time as a kid, but like the sequels I think are underrated, and I actually go back to the sequels a lot because that third one, maybe a character might come up, but I think it's underrated as much as people hate it.
I think the second one's underrated. I don't think the third one's underrated.
Is the third one poorly rated? Is the second one poorly rated though? I mean, the second one?
It should be.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, then it's also underrated then. Yes, because
I know the third one's
lady.
Okay.
I know the third one is panned, and I like it a lot, so I think that's underrated. I think so. If the second one's also panned, I like the second one too. So yeah, underrated.
There's an element in the third one that it's well known will make me like your movie. So it already had me.
Chris Hemsworth?
He's a person, not an element. Although he could be both.
All right.
All right, so moving on to the next pick.
Chris Hemsworth is in the Santa Claus
No,
too.
but it's
No.
probably the most likely element to make Stacy enjoy a movie.
Kelsey, keep up.
So,
I'm following.
all right. So my thinking is like, do I want my number one? So I said my Santa is 9 Santas deep. I'm not worried about Santa. I'm not worried about my bit character. I'm not worried about my villain. So it's really a question of, do I want to pick my non-human because I think Chad's going to take it, or do I pick my hero because I don't think Chad's going to take it? But also looking at like, am I happy with my second pick in hero? Yes. Am I happy with my second pick in non-human? No. So I'm gonna go
Go
non-human.
non-human. Let's move it along.
Okay, sorry. I just had to speak out my strategy.
Should have thought about this, buddy.
I had to speak out my strategy because I was
Right.
struggling because there are 2 picks I really want, but I'm gonna go with the one. Even though I think you might take my hero, I don't want another non-human. He's the underdog. He's the one you want to root for. He's the one who's gonna guide your sleigh tonight. I'm picking Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with the number 1 pick here in my draft. It's iconography. Obviously, there's a whole song about him. There's a great short about him. Cute design. You put all this famous Christmas characters in one big lineup, like Avengers style. Everyone's gonna know Rudolph. They're gonna know who he is. Maybe you won't know some of the others. I don't know. Our first round, yes, but you know what I'm saying. It's very iconic, and I love him.
Isn't he the main character though? Isn't I thought you said he?
He's
I
a
thought
non-human.
yeah, but his main role is being the main character. I mean, I'm not going to veto because I just want to go to bed.
But when I think of like non-human characters, I'm thinking of like.
But who's the main
reindeer
character of
and-
that movie?
It is Rudolph, but like.
So he's the main character. So by your own rules, he doesn't count.
But I was thinking most specifically, he's non-human. That is the most specific
The
category.
movie's
you can get.
called Rudolph.
Let's grant.
All right, if you want to veto it, I can
protagonist.
take another one. But in my envisioning, this was like where you're going to put all your reindeer, your snowmen, all the people, all the things that aren't human. So that's where I put Rudolph because
I would like to
Rudolph belongs
grant.
with the other animals more than he belongs with. The
I would like
heroes.
to grant Dylan a little bit of leeway here, and then maybe he'll do the same for us later.
If you want to veto it, you can.
It's
Stacey.
I swear to God, you specifically told me Rudolph was a protagonist, not a non-human in a DM.
I can check our messages, but like anyone
I
else
love
talk
it.
about Rudolph because I love him. I love Rudolph.
Okay, so wait a minute. If that's in the message, because
I will. I'm gonna look at it too. Chad or Kelsey or
Well,
Matt.
yeah,
Chad, were you
I
gonna take
think-
Rudolph? Did I get him in before?
No,
you did?
I mean I thought about it. It's one of those things to where I think you might get my wife's vote now just for picking
Ooh.
that. It's like one of her favorite things ever, and it's one of mine too. I don't know.
well, you said it opposite. I'll give you that.
I have the receipts. Yeah. If
Uh-oh.
you
I
said
said right here.
if the main protagonist is a reindeer, they go in the non-human category, so on and so forth.
I also have in our DM, Stacey. I have
Yeah,
character
that's what I was
based.
looking at. I
Just
just
to
said
be
you said it
I
opposite.
said just be most specific.
Yeah.
So like Rudolph would go under
I said you said
non-human,
it
not main
opposite.
hero.
I
Oh,
said
okay.
you said it opposite.
I know. I just don't want to. I don't want to be. I think
Rudolph-
for the ones where it's like protagonist and
I
non-human,
misread
you can
that
decide.
because
Yeah,
I
know.
disagree.
Rudolph rules.
But
There
that's
is
fine.
a
Yeah.
great song about him. There's a great little movie, a Rankin and Bass movie about him. And yeah, he's just such a innocent, genuine character, just kind of like Buddy the Elf there. He befriends misfits. He is kind of a misfit, but then he learns his way and he actually kind of makes misfits cool. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to use my thing that I thought was bad about me and made me different to be something that's good about me and like people like about me now because I own it, and I love that. It's such a great message, such a great character. It's such a great pick, Dyl.
Thank you.
I disagree. It's a good message. I think that using he's unwanted until he can be exploited is how I read that movie. I do dig that movie. I dug it more when I was a kid. Obviously, the character's good. I will say that having a shiny nose means that your nose reflects light, not produces light. So, but it also says in
Shining
the song,
or shiny?
Shiny.
it's a
Shiny
Oh, I
nose.
thought it was always shining.
shiny nose.
That's the red nose
Later,
and the
oh,
red
it does
shiny
say
nose.
you would-
Mandela infecting myself.
it does say later in the song you would even say it glows,
okay.
which does produce light.
Yeah.
But it's saying you might say it glows. Anyway, that's not the point. I was making a joke. Thing.
It is shiny. I am Mandela affecting myself all night.
Lord.
So yeah, it's a good pick. It's a good pick, and it'll look good on a graphic. That's
Wow.
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
saying shining nose all my life.
So for the record, I was not saying that because he's on my list, because he's not. I I just honestly thought that you said it the other way around.
It's okay. I think for those hybrids where it's like I think Santa is Santa category,
Right.
whether he's a protagonist or not. But I think if it's an animal that is a villain or an animal that is a main hero, and you pick them in hero or villain, that is fine.
Besides, these are guidelines. If you want to do it, try it.
Yeah.
All they can do is veto.
I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't want to do
I'm
it.
not saying
I don't think I have any controversial picks. I hope not. I don't think I do.
I know what you were trying to say.
I'm talking to everybody. I wasn't just talking to you, Stacy. I'm not trying to.
I just want to talk about Rudolph.
Okay.
Talk about Rudolph, Stacy.
Should I go? Or
No.
am I talking too much?
I just want to talk about Rudolph.
Go for it, Stacy.
You're good, Matt. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, so Rudolph is great. It's a classic. I grew up with it. I love it. I didn't get to watch it this year because it's not streaming, and I didn't want to look for my copy because it's buried somewhere. But here's why Rudolph himself was not on my list. This isn't why, but he sounds like he has a cold. But that's not why he's not on my list. But he does. He always sounds like he has a cold in the movie.
When he has the black on his nose.
Yeah. I don't think that I think he's like surrounded by interesting characters, but not that interesting in and of himself. And so that's why he's on my list. But I do think it's a good pick, and it will look good on the graphic, and it is a great movie, and it's a good way to represent it.
And another thing that I was thinking about with the graphic in mind too, and just in terms of these categories, the non-human category for me wasn't as deep as the others. So I was also like, I really like Rudolph, even though, I agree, like it's not the most complex character, but I think the other categories, I have so many other ones that I'm like, I'm fine with them with it getting whittled down. Whereas here, I was like, there's two I really want. Kelsey, any thoughts on Rudolph?
Well, I definitely had Rudolph in my protagonist category, funnily enough. He wasn't too high up, but I wouldn't have been upset if I ended up having him as my protagonist pick. I just like him because I feel like we can all resonate with him, because at one point or another you're going to feel a little bit like an outcast, and people might be picking on you about something. And I just like the message behind, like, whether or not you see it as like, oh, everyone only wanted him, everyone just wanted to use him. Or I like to see it as like, he started from the bottom and then he's leading the sleigh.
Now he's here.
Exactly. And now he gets invited to play the reindeer games and lead the sleigh. And what made him different made him cool in the end. That's why I like Rudolph.
Cool.
Well, just one last thing.
Yeah.
He thinks I'm cute.
Yes, the best line in the movie.
All right, Chad. What's going to be your very cute pick here? Not just cute. It's going to be.
I got to go next. That's right, and I got 2.
You get 2. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I love how we've picked one of each so far. Like we haven't had any duplicates, which is
that's what I'm trying to do with my list a little bit too. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the order of things as well. But I think I'm gonna go. With might look best on the graph, and I'm also going with the heart pick too. So it's both. It's heart pick. I think it might look the best like on the graphic. I think it might be somewhat controversial a little bit for some people, not for me. Dylan might know what I'm doing here.
I think this is the one that I gave up because I knew you'd probably pick it, but go for it.
Maybe. I'm going hero, not villain. Okay. I'm gonna go John McClane.
Yeah, I was almost going to pick it because I was worried you would pick it, but then I also was like, my other non-human, I don't want as much as Rudolph, whereas I have another hero I want to pick other than John McClane.
I have similar thoughts.
John McClane, though, great pick. Talk about it,
things. Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I was like, because let's face it, like Die Hard is not the most classic of Christmas movies to everyone, but if you watch it and you actually like pay attention, I think you see it everywhere. Christmas is all over that damn movie. It might not be conventional. There's no snow, but there's papers that look like snow.
There's snow.
Stuff like that.
No, it's because it's LA too. It's not
like
there's...
So it's
it literally ends with snow and them singing "Let It Snow." So I buy it. Doesn't have to be regular snow.
Okay, we don't have to turn this into defending Die Hard from
me. I feel like I just not from you, from a lot of people watching. I'm sure.
Kelsey, can I veto you speaking on Chaff's?
Yeah,
just around.
No, I love all opinions.
I want your thoughts on this next.
But yeah, I can't wait. But John McClane, I love this as I got to defend it as a Christmas movie just because it's Christmas characters and Christmas heroes, and I feel like this man freaking saves Christmas, dude. It's like he saves Christmas for most people. He can't save everyone in the building, but these people want to come in, they want to steal, they want to kill people, and they're willing to do like anything to achieve their goals. And this is the perfect everyman. I mean, it's kind of a perfect script. I think it's a perfect Christmas movie because it is just a man who wants to reconcile with his family that he's like kind of in the middle of almost losing. And his wife had just, changed her name back to Gennaro. And, he's going there to be maybe kind of a last ditch effort to be like, can this family work and stuff? I still got my job where it is, but he goes there. He doesn't plan on defending anything. And then he has to save the day, and he does it in such great style. He's up against like all of these crazy thieves. He has to walk across glass, so there's a little bit of he's kind of a Christ figure in a way. So there's a lot of parallels to that. But yeah, we can go through all that. But this man goes through hell to save everyone at this Christmas party and reconcile with his family, and it just honestly. When they're just, kind of cuddled up together and about to go home to their family after he saved the day, I feel like there's nothing more Christmas and, beautiful than that. So yeah, John McClane is just a badass, and, definitely on the graphic, have him all, white shirt, just tattered, bloody, all that.
No, the graphic is a rectangle. You've got to put him in the event.
Yeah, but
you got to put him crawling through the vent.
No, I'll let Chad do whatever you. Yeah, well, maybe.
No, he can do whatever he wants. I'm just saying, the graphic.
I like that. I like
better.
I'll put a little Santa hat on him too. But I also want to say another kind of similar incident to Scott Calvin. His family is kind of broken at the beginning, and it's all about how he tries to like kind of mend that for his, for the holidays and family in the holidays. So some good parallels there. Kelsey doesn't look impressed. Kelsey, I'll give you a second to talk, or not a second, but a few seconds to talk. What do you think of this pick?
I mean, like, I'm not gonna fight this. I know that I'm in the minority here about this movie. You guys say a lot of really pretty words when it comes to this movie, but I will say that Matt and I were having a discussion about a different movie before we started this draft, and it was about this movie called The Apartment. And Matt said, well, that movie's kind of Christmas adjacent because even though it takes place during the holiday season, you can remove the holidays and the movie doesn't really change. And that's how I feel about Die Hard. And that's all I have to say about that. Good pick.
I have a machine gun now.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
My words were used against me here. Okay, I swore to myself after last year I'm done defending Die Hard as Christmas movie.
Yeah, and that's we're talking about characters, not movies. So yeah, we don't.
I know, but what I'm saying is that like I'm no longer interested in this conversation in general.
Right.
But it is fun sometimes. So let me just say that there is a difference between The Apartment, which takes place between November 1st and January 1st, and this in Die Hard, which takes place during a Christmas party. Yeah. There is a big difference.
It could be an office party for any. Listen,
no,
like I said,
he wouldn't be there that late.
It's fine. No. It's fine. If it was any other day of the year, the building would be full, and it would be even harder for the bank robbers to get in. The bank robbers wouldn't get in. The movie would be over in 5 minutes.
And he'd be doing his job in New York as NYPD.
Yep. Listen, I love the debate. It's passionate. We've already had this on this draft actually last year, so I don't want to get into it. But Kelsey, just from someone, regardless if it's a Christmas movie or not, do you enjoy the movie itself on its own, and do you like this character?
It's a good character.
There we go. That's what we're talking about. He's a badass hero, and that's kind of all it is. So
yeah,
that's what I said.
I don't think any more to say either. I think it's just a great character.
I don't think anyone has ever shifted from their initial position on this position. So
I have.
Fine.
Upon rewatch, I did.
Oh, nice.
But I hadn't watched it in a really long time, and I was like, that's an action movie. It's not a Christmas. And then I rewatched it after like 20 years, and I was like, no, this is a fucking Christmas movie. Yeah. I'm like, it doesn't happen if it's not Christmas time.
Well, hey.
Agree to disagree.
The Polar Express could run in though it's summer,
They listen to Christmas songs in the limo.
Here's how I think about it. There's this shitty movie with Jonathan Taylor Thomas called I'll Be Home for Christmas, in which he's trying to get home for Christmas. Now he's going He's going horizontally to get to his family for Christmas. John McClane's just going vertically to get to his family for Christmas. It's the same thing.
There are just a lot of references to Christmas in the movie. There really are. But anyway, he was very high on my list. I think it's a great pick, and I'm sorry that I just talked over everybody.
No,
I just wanted to get that out so we can move on.
I'm glad. Yeah, we got to move on. Chad, what is going to be your next pick on the wraparound?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with my villain.
Okay.
And I was thinking about going with a certain villain, but I'm not.
Okay.
Because I don't want to pick a lot of different things from one movie.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go with another villain that I think is brilliant. And I have heard people, Dylan might know what I'm doing here. I have had people talk about this as a Christmas adjacent, but I'm with Dylan. I think it is a true Christmas movie.
They're going to say this character was like actually a hero, and I thought you were going to draft someone else.
No, I'm doing villain.
Okay.
I'm doing my villain. And
excited
the other ones I think are a little bit. There's plethora. I think I can survive a wraparound with some of the things I really want. But yeah, I'm gonna go with one of the greatest classic Christmas movies. Some would say the greatest Christmas movie ever made. I'm choosing from It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Potter.
Good.
Yeah. So
do people say that's not a Christmas movie?
Oh,
some say it's like Christmas adjacent because most of the movie's not on Christmas. It's just at the end.
No, the whole movie takes place during Christmas.
Just different
he's
Christmases.
flashing back during
no,
Christmas.
I know.
The whole thing is happening during
I think
Christmas.
we're all in agreement on that one. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Just, there was another video Chad did where kind of the whole panel was like, "Well, it's adjacent, but we love it," and I was like, "Wait. I just had never known it to be anything other than just a Christmas."
Yeah,
movie.
me too. Yeah. That's crazy.
No, but it's a great movie anyway. Oh, Mr. Potter though. Why do we love Mr. Potter? Or why do we hate Mr. Potter?
Yeah, well, we love to hate Mr. Potter. And it's one of those things to where it is kind of infuriating. I know, like on that panel that Dylan mentioned, we were talking about the movie, and there is an SNL sketch where they beat him to death or something like that. Because nothing really happens to Mr. Potter in this. He just kind of
Harvey
gets he just kind of gets away with it, and I think that is like just as infuriating as just him in the movie is that he's doing everything he can to just make everybody's lives miserable, to make sure no one has anything. He's the reason why the savings and loan is failing. He's the reason why George Bailey can't sorry to spoil anybody's pick, but George Bailey can't do what he wants to do with his own life and has to the reason for the plot of the movie, I guess. But yeah, he is the embodiment of everything that is like this big business, cynical, kind of like, there's the two kinds of people. There's the, people that eat and the people that get eaten and, stuff like that. It's a dog eat dog world, and Mr. Potter's the one that wants to eat everyone. And, I'm of the eat the rich mentality. So you, Mr. Potter, you stupid bitch.
Yeah.
But no, great performance. But love the actor. But yeah, Mr. Potter sucks, and he is one of the most classic Christmas villains of all time because he wants to ruin Christmas.
Yeah, no, it's a great pick. I didn't have him on my list because I was. Kind of what I said with the sticky wet bandits earlier, that it was like I don't enjoy watching him. He just pisses me off, and I don't like him at all. But that's why he's a great villain. So I get totally picking him. It's just I put villains that I at least like enjoy watching. Whereas I'm like whenever he's on screen, I'm like fuck you. But that's a great villain, a great written character. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about that movie later. But yeah, love it. Great. It is a Christmas movie, and he's a great villain. Any other thoughts on Mr. Potter?
He was pretty high on my list. Yeah, I think he's a really good pick.
Yeah.
He really sucks, which makes him good.
He does. Kelsey, any thoughts?
The only thing that I know about It's a Wonderful Life was the Christmas episode that they did of iCarly. When Carly is living her like alternate life where like she was never friends with Freddie or Sam. So Sam's in juvie and Freddie's dating like the miserable bitch. And then finally, like at the end, Mitch gets his wings, which is a plate of chicken wings.
Yeah, he's chowing down.
I'm embarrassed to say I've never actually watched It's a Wonderful Life, so I'm definitely gonna have to hit that this season because
watch it in black and white.
Hit it,
Yes,
Kelsey.
watch
Hit
black
it.
and white. Do not watch the colored.
I'm gonna hit it good.
Well done.
Matt, any thoughts on Mr. Potter?
Yeah, he sucks, but I love him.
Mr. Potter.
Like he's a great villain. He was on my list. He's really great. That's all.
All right, so my next pick, I'm a little now. I'm not sure though because I was gonna pick someone, but Kelsey's never seen that movie, so now I'm like, do I pick him? But then Matt and Stacy have, so I'm gonna pick George Bailey.
And
I know it's
obviously.
I know it's kind of like it's like right next to Mr. Potter. I kind of want to divvy it up a bit, but like no, that next it was John McClane was my number 1, Buddy the Elf was my number 2, George Bailey's my number 3. So I'm like, by the time I get all the way back around to me, I'm gonna be diving deeper into a category that I wasn't as passionate about, whereas like the other categories I'm fuller. So I'm gonna go George Bailey here. I could have gone John McClane, just gotten Rudolph here probably, but I'm fine with George Bailey in the second pick. I like it. I think he's great for all the reasons Chad mentioned about the movie, but also Jimmy Stewart and I have this weird spiritual connection. He died 9 months before I was born, so I like to believe there's a little bit of maybe reincarnation at play, and that like maybe some of Jimmy Stewart is like in my soul because I really align with just the kind of nature of his characters and like the way he kind of like Matt is looking very suspicious.
That's why you're such a good actor. Buddy.
No, but it's like.
I love that theory that pregnancies are really 40 weeks.
Oh, well.
They are.
Let me live my truth. No,
I don't know why they say they're 9 months. It's for 40 weeks.
No, but it's like I really do just love Jimmy Stewart as a performer, but we're not talking about actors, obviously. We're talking about the characters, but he just exudes. George Bailey is the epitome of just like Jimmy Stewart, I think, as a person as well, and as a type of performer, like the roles he plays, and it's I think his best. One of his best performances, but like one of his greatest character for sure. I think, you know, you could argue Vertigo or freaking Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, but like this is my favorite character of his, just because of what he stands for at the end of the movie and that whole journey he goes on is really amazing. So I love George Bailey. We've talked a lot about it. It's a Wonderful Life, but does anyone have any thoughts on Georgie?
I love that George Bailey. I think that's a line in the movie. I like that George Bailey. Yeah, he is a classic hero, classic protagonist. But a tragic one, or mostly tragic one.
Right.
It doesn't actually go full tragic, which I'm thankful for as like a Christmas movie that it's not just like it ends like that.
Oh my God! Imagine! Oh my God! I don't think people would hold it.
We would have never seen it if it ended that way because
we almost didn't as it.
Classic.
Yeah.
But I mean, not even just James Stewart as the character, but even when he's like a kid. George Bailey, I love. That's one of my favorite scenes at the very beginning when the old man makes his mistake, and then he's like, I know you're hurting, Mister. I know you're hurting, but you didn't mean to do it. And I'm just like, oh, this is such a great character. I just love how like sweet he is. He just got like hit on his bad ear, and he's still nice to the guy, and just like I know you didn't mean to do it. And he keeps going. He's so selfless. For such a long time and just like, such a selfless character helping everyone in need and just saving, and standing up against the asshole, Mr. Potter. And I love how he grows throughout the movie too. And he's just such a great character. You had to pick him, Dyl. Good job.
Yeah, I had to. Matt?
There, several years ago, I put as my Facebook status something, and it comes up every year on this day thing where I could see it, and every year it's more true, and that is that the older I get, the more I understand why George Bailey freaked out that day, and it's so relatable. There's so much about it that's completely relatable, and you could look at that, especially if you don't have a lot of life experience. You could look at that and think, oh, he's being childish, or grow up, or whatever. Manage his emotions. Man, the more life experience you get under your belt, the more you're just like, exactly, George Bailey. That's like, I understand exactly why you freaked out today, and that's true. It's there's something very relatable about it, and George Bailey is one of the most charming characters in all of film, especially when they're going back at his younger thing. You want the moon, Mary? I'll get you the moon. Like
this is a very interesting situation.
Exactly. Man doesn't find himself in this kind of situation very often. Not around here. But it's just a very charming character and very relatable. And I really love that performance and love him in it.
Stacey?
We had the same top 3, Dylan, just in a different
Woo!
order.
Yeah.
So George Bailey was high on my list.
There you go.
I actually rewatched this recently, but I tend to watch this almost every year. I might miss some here and there, but almost every year. And yeah, I mean, selfless is the perfect word. His bad ears from saving his brother from drowning in the frozen pond. He skips his honeymoon to give all his honeymoon money to the town because of the run on the bank. Like, everything he does is for everybody. And that's what makes the end so gratifying, is that, like, it's acknowledged what he is to this town. And it's great.
It's why I love Paddington 2 so much, because that final scene is the exact same thing. It's the gratification for all the selfless acts he's done the whole movie. It's perfect.
Why, like, the hobbits. The Hobbit.
Yes, the Hobbits, exactly. It's that idea.
My favorite scene ever.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Chad?
I wish I had $1 million. Hot dog.
All right. Kelsey, what is going to be your second pick?
Oh, it's my turn again. Okay. I was going to say the other thing that I know about It's a Wonderful Life is in one of John Mulaney's comedy specials, he does a bit where he's talking about how he spent $120,000 on college, and then, you know, the colleges send him, like, you know, they send alumni, you know, asking for donations, and he's like, what kind of cokehead relative is college that I gave them $120,000 and they spent it already? And he was like, I felt like Jimmy Stewart in that one scene in It's a Wonderful Life where he's shaking Uncle Billy, going, "Where's the money? Where's the money, that motherfucker?" Or, like, he's like, that's the line verbatim in the movie, which I'm sure it's not. Right. But that's the only other It's a Wonderful Life.
John Mulaney says it's the line. It's the line.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh God, where was I? I literally decided something in my head as you were talking.
I almost just yelled llama because there's one on my TV.
Are you watching Emperor's New Groove?
No, it was just a commercial or something.
Llama?
But I was almost like llama.
There you go.
I love llamas.
No touching.
We actually might talk about Emperor's New Groove a little later.
I want to try to get something from a bunch of different movies. Like, I don't want to overlap at all.
Yeah, same.
So I'm just like looking at my list.
So you're not going to take evil Scott Calvin from the Santa Claus 2 or whatever?
Oh my God, that
Robot
character was so
the plastic.
Oh, yeah, I don't like
Okay,
that.
so
That's a pick I can tip, because if any of you pick it,
I'm not
Was
worried
that
about
would
my
go under non-human, right?
character.
Yes,
He's not human.
yes, go good on
Yeah.
it.
He is.
I'm gonna pick my villain at this time, because I don't think I'm as worried about all the other things.
Okay.
And so upon this rewatch, I don't know why I liked him so much, but I'm gonna go with, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the antagonist of this film, Walter Hobbs from Elf.
Yes.
I consider him. I almost put him as villain.
See, that's the
He
thing.
is.
About,
Yes.
That's what the thing about Elf is that I was trying to figure out who is the freaking villain. Is it the Rangers?
Central Park Rangers.
Is it Walter? Is it Walter's boss? There's so many different ones, but I think Walter would count as
Walter is the antagonist.
Yeah, he's
I would
definitely
say.
the antagonist.
I mean, he's
villain,
Buddy's
I don't
biggest
know,
obstacle. I think.
Yeah,
I agree. Yes.
Yeah,
He's
a layered villain.
Yeah,
Villains can change. You
Yeah,
don't
they
think
can
of
be
him
mean.
as-
He does change.
But I
Yeah.
considered him
All
as a
right,
villain.
so you're picking. I'm assuming you're picking him, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Walter Hobbs from Elf as my villain. Excuse me, my hot cocoa is getting to me. Yeah, I just thought that, like, because the main reason why you don't like him is because he just simply cannot accept Buddy's love and all that Buddy is. But, you know, growing up and as a kid, like, that's super disheartening. You're like, how could you not fall in love with Buddy? Buddy's the best. He's great, blah, blah, whatever. But upon, like, rewatching in my older years now, I'm like, well, this is a really complicated situation for Walter Hobbs, because he's finding about this adult long lost son that he's discovering like like a week before Christmas Eve, that has had no knowledge about, that he has this adult son that he now needs to, like, take into his life. and his son believes he's an elf. And in the eyes of like in a universe where like obviously Santa doesn't exist and elves don't exist and all this is nonsense, like it's very hard to wrap it's very hard to get behind like wanting to accept Buddy. Like he's caught between a rock and a hard place now. And so he makes this great, and he's not just a villain in the eyes of Buddy. He's in the he's the villain in his his first son's life as well, Michael. He doesn't have a great relationship with Michael. He works late. He works for this publishing company that does these children's books, but he's not, he rushes the job and he just wants it to get done because he's all about the profit and not about actually making good quality children's books because, they're like, oh, this book's missing 2 pages. And he's like, well, that's going to be too much to reprint. Just sign it off anyway. The kids are never going to notice.
But
and so it's kind of like
the book.
From the orphanage. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's definitely a villain.
He's kind of like the same as Scott Calvin in a lot of ways. And so he makes this great transformation. And I love that in the movie, he doesn't even really, he makes his turnaround for 2 people. And I'm glad that it happens with Michael first, where he makes the decision to leave the meeting and is like, you know what? Actually, no, my sons need me. And he's able to, up yours. And he's able to show up for Michael and be there for Buddy in that moment. And then he gets a great Christmas book out of it. So shout out to Buddy.
Yeah.
I think you just made a case for why Walter's not the villain. He's misunderstood. But
Well,
I'll get
No, he's definitely the villain.
The villain
I know
with the
you-
growth
yeah.
arc.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but you made a lot of good points why he's so complex as a character, and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Kahn, rest in peace. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What a devastating.
I think that I really like that character. I think there are times in that movie where James Caan is kind of phoning it in, but then there are a lot of parts that he's really going at it, like when he's yelling at Buddy. Like it really feels like that. I will say that it does feel like if Sonny Corleone had lived, that feels like the character. But yeah, I agree. It's definitely the villain. And I'm just gonna keep going back to the sad stuff. But as a person who didn't have a good relationship with his father, like the part where he finally embraced, and it's not. There is a great moment where he's like, when he's talking to the boss, and he's like, don't talk like that to my son. Like,
yeah.
I like that bit, but he doesn't even really fully get there until his son calls him out, until Michael calls him out, and it's like, you're not even singing, you're moving your lips, you don't care about anything, and then he starts singing. Like that feels like the real change moment, which I really love. But yeah, it's a good character. It's a good villain. I agree, it's a villain.
Yeah, I think it is a very tough situation because you do root for Walter for a lot of the movie to change, but from like a screenplay perspective, yeah, he's definitely like the main antagonist of the movie. I do agree with that. But it is one of those things to where he is a perfect like Christmas antagonist because he is, in Christmas terms, the big challenge of every movie, the big fight of every movie is to change someone from being super cynical to having the Christmas spirit and to being accepting and all that stuff. And that's the exact arc that Walter has. And as soon as he sings for real, the sleigh goes shoo. So it's one of those things where I love that moment when he actually starts singing to town, and then he's such a great character. He does have a lot of asshole moments, but it's one of those things to where it's like, it was when Kelsey was like, he doesn't want the books to be good quality. I was like, okay, that I forgot about that. Does make sense, because I'm like, you can't fault someone for having a really hard job that they have to work, and unfortunately have to work long hours, stuff like that. So it's one of those things. But then I'm like, but he's still just not there for people. He's not accepting. He's not even really that good at his job. He just wants to call Peter Dinklage to help out. So anyways, yeah, it's a great pick, Kelsey. I love Walter Hobbs. I love him. I never hate him. I think is my issue.
Right. I think that's why he's so palatable as
Yeah.
an antagonist.
Yeah, it
Antagonist.
totally works, and I love that pick for sure.
Antagonist.
I said antagonist.
Oh, it sounded like you said antagonist, and I thought it was. I thought you did it on purpose, and I thought it was funny.
Oh no, Matt, that's just my accent, okay?
Like a
That's
bug
just
in
one of those-
agony.
That's fine.
He's an antagonist.
I would like to say that I do hate Walter Hobbs through parts of that movie. And
Yeah, for
again,
sure.
that might be the daddy issues coming through. But there are plenty of parts of that movie where I hate him. I think there's actually a point where it's clear that the movie sees him as a villain, and that is that the first scene we see him in, which is when he is repossessing the books from the orphanage, and it's not just a matter of that's how business works. It's she's like, but the children love them. And he's like, don't do that. Like, he understands the moral issue and has an argument against the moral issue.
Yeah.
That makes him the villain, in my opinion.
And then, of course, you have the big scene where he goes, I don't care that you're my son.
Yeah. And also straight out of the gate at the beginning of the movie when Papa Elf Santa literally tells him like he's on the naughty list.
No!
A lot of people can still be good and naughty. Stacey, any thoughts? I'm sorry.
Dyl,
I was
what?
I don't know.
Oh.
Out of
All
pocket?
right, it's getting sexy in here.
Listen,
Yeah,
there's
I was
good
trying to
naughty
make a joke, guys.
and there's
Listen,
bad
my
naughty.
back is throbbing, all right? I gotta just
Robbing.
cheer myself
Come
up.
Fair enough.
Dylan.
Anything
All right,
else,
Stacey.
Stacey, before I move on?
I mean, obviously, I've got Elf all over my list. Like, it's my favorite.
I'm gonna change my
So
pillow.
I think that he is the villain. I think he is an excellent villain to pick. And I mean, yeah, you guys pretty much said everything else.
Cool. Maddie,
Yes.
what's gonna be your next pick?
Okay, I'm not worried anybody's going to take my supporting. I'm surprised I'm taking my supporting. Non-human. I've got plenty of options. So I think I'm going to go with hero.
Okay.
And it's actually similar to a Walter Hobbs situation, but this one is the protagonist, even if he is grumpy and villainous throughout the movie. I am taking Ebenezer Scrooge, as played by Michael Caine in Muppet Christmas Carol.
Of course you are.
Muppet Christmas Carol is my favorite Christmas movie. I love that movie. But part of the magic of that movie is how Michael Caine doesn't know there are any Muppets in that movie. Or at least he is treating his fellow Muppets as legitimate actors, whichever the case is, he definitely is.
They're all thespians.
He is going for. He is playing this as hard as he would play any Oscar-winning performance or nominated performance that he's ever done. It's just, again, it's the sincerity. He is in there. He is not hamming it up. He is being Ebenezer Scrooge as only Michael Caine can. And yeah, I love it, and it's all due to that sincerity. I'm gonna let other people talk.
It's my favorite version of that character. Was all I was gonna add. I love it.
So it's well known that I do not love the Muppets like a lot of people my age and younger do. But it is less well known that though Elf is my favorite Christmas movie, Christmas Carol is my favorite story.
Mm-hmm.
I love A Christmas Carol, and I love all kinds of versions of it. He's not my favorite Scrooge, but I did rewatch it recently because I felt like the other times I maybe didn't have like enough attention to give it a good shot, and I did like it a lot better, and he was a lot of the reason for that. So I do think he in when I was thinking about Scrooges, because I had to have a Scrooge on my list somewhere, and when I was considering them, I did consider him.
Nice.
So he's a good pick, and he's a very popular. I mean, let's face it, Muppets Christmas Carol is probably the most popular version of Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
So it's a great pick.
Chad.
Yeah, I actually don't know if Alan watches Draft Day, but
He
this
does,
is him.
I think.
My
I think he
co-guide.
Guide.
But yeah,
That's when I'm on it, right, Alan?
Comment below. I dare you.
it is his favorite actor, and he hates it when people go my co-guide. I
What does
think.
have you toast?
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
size
yeah.
of a tangerine.
I love that Matt picked this, and I'm glad he got it because I know it's like one of his favorites, and for good reason. My wife also really loves this one, and I do too. It's so genuine and sweet, and I just love how you have, as I think they normally do, just like Muppets playing classic characters, except for Scrooge. And yeah, the songs are sweet, like Marley and Marley. I love all the different versions of the ghosts. But yeah, Scrooge in this with Michael Caine is probably one of the best. Is probably the best part of the entire movie. For everything that Matt said, is just like he's playing it like a thespian actor would, like actually giving like an Oscar worthy performance of Scrooge in a different movie. But this one has Muppets in it, and they're all singing, and then he sings, and I just love his transition from piece of shit Mr. Potter kind of a deal to and in fact Miss Piggy is like pissed at him when he comes at the door, and then he has that smile right after, and he goes, wait, what? Oh, you're here with gifts and you're actually nice now. Yeah, I love that performance and character. But specifically it is also my favorite version of that character.
There you go. Kelsey, any thoughts on Michael Caine?
That's a great pick. So to be clear now, all variations of Scrooge are off the table.
No, because
Scrooge in that universe is
different variations of that character are okay, but sequels of the same character, like
Oh,
you can't pick
okay,
Scott
I see.
Calvin in the second or third movie.
Yeah, The Muppets Christmas Carol was introduced to me a few years ago. I did watch it. I do remember enjoying it. The only thing that I remember is little tiny Kermit as Tiny Tim.
Yeah.
little Kermit baby.
Little Kermit.
All right, Stacy, you're gonna get 2 picks back to back. What would you like?
Yay. Okay, so Matt just made this a lot easier for me because now we have Scrooge representation. And even if it's not my favorite Scrooge, we needed Scrooge representation.
Yeah, it would have been Scrutiny, not Scrooge.
Right, because like I said, Christmas Carol story, I just love it so much.
Me too.
So I'm going to go with the other villain that I was contemplating, who was actually the first one I wrote down, and that is Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
Die Hard. I'm really surprised this got back to me, to be honest. I thought it would be a higher pick for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But we already talked a lot about Die Hard, so I'm not going to reiterate, but he is a huge part of what makes that movie great. His performance, like, it borders on campy without quite crossing that line in a way. And I just think he's great. I think Alan Rickman, rest in peace, is great in that movie. And I think without that villain, it doesn't work nearly as well. And he's an honest to God villain.
Exactly.
Earlier, exactly. He's a Stone Cold villain. Earlier, when I was asking about Wet Bandits, I wanted to do that first, not because I thought Wet Bandits would go first, but if Wet Bandits was not allowed, I knew Hans Gruber was going to go before I could get him otherwise. So that was my other pick. It's not just Christmas villain. I think Hans Gruber is the best villain of. Okay.
Movie.
I always used to say he was the best villain in all of cinema. Since I made that claim, we have had both Hans Landa and Heath Ledger's Joker, which I think which I think both are up there with him. But he's, if not the best, in the top 3 best villains of all of cinema. And of course, in Christmas, I love Alan Rickman in everything. I love him playing this character. I love everything about Hans Gruber, and it makes me happy that it was represented because I didn't get to pick it.
Oh, yeah. Also, I just want to say I recently did a double feature rewatch in the theater, and it was Elf and Die Hard.
Oh, there you go. And now it's on your
That's perfect.
Yeah, I was
on the same day, back to back, actually, to run from one theater to the other.
This was my number 1 villain as well. It's just my villain pool is deep, and I'm happy with whoever I get, so I didn't pick him. But yeah, it's great character, great. My favorite part of that movie for sure, and the banter back and forth. I mean, just when he's reading the I have a machine gun. Ho ho ho! Like it's just so perfect. Yeah, ho ho ho! It's a Christmas movie. That's all I'll say about
Oh
that. No,
my
but
God,
I'm kidding, I'm kidding, guys. Happy Merry Christmas. No, Hans Gruber's great. One of the best
Kelsey's
villains of
gonna
all
leave,
time.
dude.
I love it. Kelsey, what do you think about Hans Gruber? Oh, bye.
No, I'm just gonna say, it's a very villainous villain. It makes sense.
That is fact.
This is a little behind the scenes thing, but last year after we had this argument, we took it to Discord, the three of us again, and kept having the conversation. And Dylan came in and said, "Guys, stop. We've beaten this to death." And now he won't stop talking.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hans Gruber was at the very top of he's the first villain that I wrote down. I went with a different one because I didn't want to do all Die Hard as my slate. Hans Gruber is a money pick. That is the villain that you pick. If you didn't already pick John McClane. So yeah, I could have done both. Yeah, I could have.
I think we all want to mix it up a bit more than that.
I got a pretty baller villain.
Too bad
as well,
I'm taking all the other reindeer. So.
But,
Or you're taking all of the other reindeer.
Yeah, all of the other reindeer.
The ones who you slap and call them names?
Yeah, they never let
They're the
poor Rudolph play
villains.
in any of those reindeer games. Watch reindeer games on Paramount Plus.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Hans rules. I love Alan Rickman and everything as well, and I love him. Especially like Galaxy Quest and Harry Potter. But yeah, I love him in this role. I think it was his first role, right? And he just like dominated the screen.
Yeah, I think it was. Actually, I forgot about that.
His first film role, he was a theater
That's what I
guy.
meant. Yeah. And you can't even tell that it's his first film because he rules. I like one of my favorite parts is not of him being menacing, but it's that like weird him trying to do an American accent. Like,
Yeah.
oh my
God. So harrowing.
I love that so much. It's just such a pure improvisation, and it sounds so fake because it is. And it's it is a guy who's improvising, like not. He's like, this is the only way that I can like get out of this situation and get back on top and have the high ground again. Yeah, he's such a perfect villain, so menacing. He is actually, I'm going to veto because he is the protagonist of the movie. He is the one that dies hard. He's the title character. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that.
That's a good argument. I
think it's not a good argument because Die Hard is not about dying hard. It's about being a Die Hard.
I could argue he's not even human because he's a god.
I think that was. I'm
just going to start you hating me.
No.
Dylan, because no matter what argument is, I know I'm kidding. Like, I don't think that, but I'm just saying, like, if you backed that up, it's like no matter what the argument is, you take the opposing side to what I want.
No. He's a villain. I promise.
I'm pretty sure he's actually a protagonist argument comes from Barney Simpson. So
yes,
probably.
Yeah. Alrighty, Stacy, you get a wraparound now.
Okay.
And I'm gonna veto it.
Just real quick, I do have a second Alan Rickman villain on my list, but no one's gonna pick it, so I will talk about it in honorable mentions.
I was gonna say maybe not.
No, I guarantee it.
Okay.
We'll see.
We'll see. Maybe Dyl actually has that on his list.
Oh, holy shit!
No
tipping. I didn't think
no
anybody else would do that.
I'm not gonna pick it necessarily, but it's in my 5. All right,
Get
Stacey,
your tips out of
here. I haven't said a thing.
All right.
I want some brandy.
We good?
Yep. Go ahead, Stacey.
Okay. So I'm glad everybody talked for a while because I was having a really hard time deciding where to go next, and I think I'm gonna go with my Santa.
Oh, yay!
Because I had a really hard time deciding on my Santa because I have a couple offbeat choices that I really, really like, but they aren't really Santa to me. Like, they're great performances and great actors, and I love them. But when I think of quintessential Santa, like who, if there was really a Santa, I think might actually be him. I think Richard Attenborough in Miracle on 34th Street, 1994.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know what it is specifically about his performance, to be honest with you. He just is Santa. Like, he just is. I don't know. I
haven't even seen it, and I can tell you he's Santa.
He is. Like, I believe Santa exists, and he's Richard Attenborough.
Cool.
That's where he went.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I agree it's very, very good. I do not have it on my list. I do have another version of that on my list. But
does he say, "Welcome to the North Pole"? Or no?
No, Dylan, leave. No, I'm just kidding.
Bye.
Oh my God.
You guys are on your own. How do you end this recording? You don't have the
Is
password.
that Matt Pisto?
That's funny. No, I
You all get my reference or no?
I do. Yes, I got it.
Okay, thank
Welcome
you.
to Jurassic Park. Is
Yes,
where
yeah,
Sarah
we-
was.
Thank you.
Get it.
Phew.
yeah.
Oh,
Some of us
I
were
see.
alive and saw that in the movie theater. We know about
Yes.
that movie.
And then
Yeah.
some of us were Kelsey and Dyl. I
Um,
didn't.
okay, so that the reason why I think is because there is something that I think is very difficult to capture in a on screen is the idea of being jolly. And I think Richard Attenborough does it. I think he's such a good actor that you can feel the jolliness from the thing. It's not just about being round. It's not just about being jovial. He's just jolly.
And just
And,
pure goodness. Like
yeah.
he just radiates pure goodness in this
Yeah.
movie. I don't know.
I need to rewatch because, like I said, I haven't seen
Yeah, I
so as a
need to watch
kid, and
it.
I really like the original a lot. So I need to rewatch the remake.
The
Question.
original's
like the
probably a
version.
better movie, but I
Yeah.
think
Are
Richard
we-
Attenborough is a better Santa.
Does this
Okay.
take Miracle on 34th Street Santa off the board, or does this take
No.
the remake Richard Attenborough?
No, because it's not the same universe.
Right.
It's not a
cool.
sequel.
No, it was a clarification.
It's a different universe.
Cool.
Wait, which one are we talking about?
1994.
1994.
90s Miracle on
With
34th
The one in
Matilda?
color.
Yes.
Well, with Mara Wilson.
Yes, Matilda.
Yeah, thank you.
1994.
Okay,
Um,
gotcha.
Have you seen that one, Kelsey, or no?
No, I was just looking at pictures though, so I could know who we were talking about, and I was looking at Natalie Wood this whole time.
Yeah.
Let me look at the 1994 version now.
It's not.
Alright, Chad.
It's not as good. Yeah, I
Oh,
finally got to the 94 version. I agree that I think Richard Attenborough in that role is probably the best part of the movie, but I think that's probably the only good part. Like it takes everything that the classic does right, and it goes, let me take the message from the original movie and just like shove it right down your throat. And I think that's exactly what I feel like Richard Attenborough sometimes even plays like a little crazier than the Santa from the original. So I feel like everything is like turned up to 11, including the performance there, in not a good way. But I do understand why a lot of people go Richard Attenborough. That is the one that I see as the greatest Santa. And when I had my extreme reaction, it's because I did not hear Richard Attenborough. I just heard Miracle on 34th Street, and I love the original so much. This one does not compare in the slightest. But I will say, yeah, it is a good pick because that is a lot of people's favorite, and that is maybe the only good part of that movie, I think.
Well,
Yeah. It's not a better
Harsh
movie
words.
at all.
all right. Well,
I've
Yeah,
never
great.
seen any
Yeah,
of
I've never
these
seen-
movies, and I had a feeling that one of these Santas was going to go because they
But
all
guys,
do
another
one of them
Santa.
might go.
yeah,
So
yeah,
good.
it's so good.
But I will
Um,
say, in this movie poster, I don't know why it's giving The Exorcist to me just a tad
It
bit.
does.
It's that light.
With the
Oh,
hat and the
Oh,
street
Lord.
light.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, Matt, you already got your villains and your hero. So, what would you like next?
It's difficult because there's one that I have lower on the list, but I think it's creeping into my heart a little bit more, and it's going to be a little bit off the beaten path. So I'm going to go with non-human character, and I'm really excited to talk about the other ones in honorable mentions if no one else picks them. But instead, I'm going to pick this one, which is Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday
Aw.
special.
I love that pick.
We just watched it the other day again. My kids and I watch it actually a lot because they really love it and we love the music in it. Old 97, shout out. But I think that it is the. I have been openly critical of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in the past, and although Mantis is one of my favorite parts of that movie, I didn't fully feel like I connected with that character, fully connected with that character until the holiday special. She's so sweet, and she's trying to do something so good, and she wants to break this news to her brother, and she doesn't know how, and so she sets up this whole elaborate Christmas thing and goes and steals a person. And she's very funny.
Is she a villain? No, I'm kidding.
No, she makes you laugh. She makes you cry. It's just such a great, well-rounded story and performance in just 45 minutes that she does, and it just runs the gamut of emotions. And every time I looked at the list, I had a few others above her. Every time I looked at the list, I kept gravitating back to her, thinking, but are those better than this? And I don't think they are. I think this is one of the best non-human.
You got her too?
Characters.
Oh my gosh!
Look at
Wow.
it.
I don't.
Yes.
I feel
I was
I
gonna
love-
hold up another one, but then I was like, oh wait, he might still, or they might still get picked.
But yeah, so that's yeah. I would like to hear other people talk about how
That
cool my
is
pick is.
extremely hilarious, Matt, because everything you said kind of mirrors my exact feelings. Is that I did not love Mantis from Volume 2. And as soon as this holiday special came out, she instantly became like one of my favorite things in the entire MCU.
Yeah.
And it's just like I love Palm Clementif now, great in like New Mission Impossible. Every time she pops up in anything, I'm so excited just because I love her from that special. And then Volume 3, and then now going back to Volume 2, I love that and her performance in that and her character in that even more. Because of this, and I love like the just every time that she goes, "What are you doing?"
What are you doing?
Like, cracks me up. I love this. I'm so I love and hate that you picked her because I was thinking about it, but then I was like, you know what, I'm glad someone did because she definitely deserves to be represented. This is one of the most Christmas things ever, and I love that the intentions are pure, even though when it finally gets there, it's like, this is human trafficking. You can't do it. And then, finding out that the Earth's like greatest hero or whatever is just a stupid actor. Kind of a deal. I want to throw up. But yeah, she is really, really, really the best part of that. She's really the best part of a lot of things now. It's so Christmas. I love it so much. I love her so much. I'm so glad you picked her. She's the best in this.
Let's go to our Marvel co-host, Kelsey. Do you love Mantis? I don't have to ask that.
Love Mantis. I think that now that we're talking about her, first of all, I'm so glad that this special has made it into this draft because I certainly it got lost in the shuffle for me on my end, unfortunately.
Oh.
But I'm glad it's getting represented here. Thanks, Matt. And I will say that I feel like she has this like childlike innocence about her that honestly kind of reminds me of Buddy the Elf a little bit. And I think that's also like a part of the charm and the spirit behind this special. And so I think that's what makes her, as lovable as she is that, you want to protect Mantis at all costs. You know what I mean?
I do.
Just one quick line. Do you want to save Christmas or do you want a funny little man?
Funny little man.
And now our
Funny
MCU
little man might
title.
be in my other pop.
Why'd you
Our
have to
MCU
think
title
about that?
champ, Stacy. What are your thoughts on Mantis?
Yes, so this Christmas special is just pure joy for me. Like I didn't have like low expectations the first time I watched it, and I watched it like right away when it came out. I did not expect it to be like my favorite Christmas special of my adult life, which it pretty much is.
Yeah.
I can watch it over and over again. I tell everybody I know to watch it if they like Christmas or happiness or laughing and they haven't seen it, because if you like any of those things, you should watch it because it is amazing. I love the message. I love her and Peter's relationship. It's so sweet. Her motivations are so sweet. Her and Drax are so funny together. And just even like little things, like I have another pup I didn't grab, and he's a very small part, so I'm gonna say him. But what Groot gives Rocket is one of my favorite moments. I love it so much. That's why I have the pop, is because he has the. You don't see what's in the box, but he's got the box, and I know what's in it. So I have the pop.
Isn't it Nebula that gives him that?
Is it Nebula?
Yeah.
The
What does
arm,
Groot have
Bucky's
in the big
arm.
long box?
Yeah.
Nebula gives it to him.
Did my
Groot-
pop mess up?
Doesn't Groot make
Groot-
like the little dioramas?
Groot
with it?
gives all like the dioramas to everyone.
Yeah, he does. I don't know why my pop. Well, I got the pop because it had the big long box.
Oh wait, who
Hmm.
gives the dick in the box? I'm kidding. Sorry.
No, it is Nebula. You're
Dylan,
right.
it's a family show. No,
You're
maybe
right. It is Nebula, and my pop confused me. It might have been made before. Might have been one of those like it was made before the movie because
Yeah.
in my pop, I should grab it, but I'm not gonna. Groot is holding the present that Rocket gets.
Love it.
That's
Well,
right.
maybe
That's
you
great.
want to look at it and then. give
I
it back to
love
them.
that moment
Yeah.
so much,
It's great.
and that's just
I
like a
do-
little tiny side moment. And
Mhm,
that's what this special is just so many amazing moments and amazing music.
mhm.
And yeah, I think everyone should watch it like 500 times.
500. Yeah.
500.
Two other
Minimum.
things. I love when Groot gets his Game Boy and just jumps up and down.
Mhm.
And then two, Dylan says the darndest things.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, if this was a
I-
family show, then I fucked a lot of. Or no, I said fuck
Yeah,
way
yeah.
too many times to Mr.
I-
Potter.
I fucked way too many families.
Mr. Potter too much, but I did not do that today. But I did say fuck Mr. Potter quite a bunch earlier. So I hope
True.
As far as
Yeah.
one more thing about the holiday Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, my kids and actually my whole family, we went out and looked at Christmas lights the other night, and we were each taking turns picking Christmas songs, and my whole family was singing. I don't know what Christmas is, but Christmas
I
time
have
is
to
here
grab it.
together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Lies.
There
It
you
lied to me.
Love it. Love it.
yeah.
Maybe
Look
it's
at that.
picking up
confused
on
me.
it, so-
They both gave
Mm.
it for
But yeah, so I love that. I love that song very much. And say what you will about Chris. This is not about the performance or the character, but say what you will about Chris Pratt. But the moment when the lights turn on, the Christmas lights come on, so effective. Such a
Yeah.
the best performance he's ever given is his reaction to Christmas.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. All right, cool. So Kelsey, it's back to you. Did I catch you off guard again? Or are you ready?
No, I'm ready this time because I was
I knew
going
you
back
would
and
be.
forth as to whether or not I was going to do this, and since it hasn't been taken yet, I'm surprised. I'm just going to go ahead and get this off the board, and I'm going to pick my supporting / bit characters.
Ooh, first one of the day. Oh,
Question mark. I'm hoping that since Matt
Roll.
took 2 villains, I can take 2 bit characters because they go hand in hand. And
Oh.
that is Heat Miser and Snow Miser from A Year Without a Santa Claus.
Dude.
Are they villains or
I was about
sidekicks?
to say Vito, but I've actually never seen it. But I just always assumed they were villains. But
They
I
are
guess-
villains.
They're antagonists. Yeah. But they're.
Yeah,
Are
but
they
they're,
small-
they're in
bit.
such a small part of the
Okay,
movie that
then-
they're not the immediate
I've never seen
obstacle.
it, so I
The
don't know.
Obstacle of The Year Without a Santa Claus is that the kids don't believe in Santa Claus anymore.
Right there, I would put them in bit
Yeah.
over
They
villain.
literally get one
However-
scene, maybe 2. In the
I
whole
think
know.
movie.
they're
I just-
villains,
the-
but I don't
the
care
thing
enough
that
to
I'm
argue it.
I've never
concerned
seen it, so-
about is are they close enough to be required as a pair?
I
They
I
there
think you
seems-
can't have one without the other.
They're brothers.
I mean,
But
is anyone seriously considering one
No.
of them?
no.
Then I
no,
think
she can have
okay.
them. It's
You
fine.
can have it.
Yeah. I've
yeah.
never seen it, so I literally just can't speak up. But Snow Miser and Heat Miser, those
They're-
his name?
Yep.
Well, I won't explain it because
No, Meister or Miser?
Miser.
Miser. M-I-S-E-R.
miserly.
Meister.
I'm Mr. White
Meister.
Christmas.
I'm
Yes.
Mr. Snow.
Well, first of all, they have like the most iconic Christmas song in
Yeah, they
Christmas
do.
history.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it's just so camp. That whole, sorry, I have a burp.
Oh my god.
Okay, it's not.
Oh my god.
I can feel it. It's
That's
literally
making
like,
next year's real.
it's like right here. I can't. It's not. It's stuck there. It's not coming out. But it's just so camp, that section. It's just so iconic. Like, you know, you hear the dun 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 dun, and you know exactly what's going down. I love that both of them have like their own little versions of like mini me's that are with them that are just like carbon copies of the Snow Miser and the Heat Miser. They're just smaller, and I'm like, are those like the Snow Miser's children? Like, what's up? Who knows? And you know, they're just like a comedic duo, and it's just such a fun sequence. And I just feel like my list would be incomplete without them. So I'm glad I got them.
I completely dig it. Dylan, you have heard the Snow Miser song.
No, I've heard the songs. I just
okay.
I've never seen the movie. So
I got you. Well, when she was doing this the music, you were
no, because she says and everyone knows what that means. I was like, I don't know what that means, but like
I
heard
got you.
Well, that just means the song
because
started.
It plays the Snow Miser song is the song that's playing in Mr. Freeze's lair in Batman and Robin, because that movie can only be on the nose at all times.
Understood.
But yeah, I think it's a great pick. On reflection, I do think they go together. I think that you calling them a comedy duo makes it feel like they belong together. So I dig it, and yeah, it's good.
Thank you, Matt.
Any other thoughts on these two?
Yeah, yeah, it's one of my favorites from like the specials. I can't remember if I love The Year Without a Santa Claus like as a whole. I think it is kind of silly, but I've always, ever since like a kid, I've just always had like an affinity for those two characters. They make that special.
They're definitely the best part. Yeah,
they are. It's so funny. Like we're having fun joking about them in here. The songs are just so iconic and catchy and just amazing, and you just love to sing them. I didn't do like a super deep dive on specials with this one. I was like mostly just looking at movies, but like if I would have, I might have put them on my list, but I totally forgot about them until Kelsey brought them up, and then I'm like, those are some of my favorite things ever. So that's a great steal of a pick, and I would argue that like they go hand in hand. It's just like the Wet Bandits; they're brothers. That they are, you can't have one without the other, and I think that's true for like the seasons and everything and the oppositeness of them, and they even like yell at each other. I think they affect each other, and so it's a great double steal that Kelsey just pulled the rug out from under us.
Yeah,
Stacey.
Thank you. Yeah, so I did actually think about them, but I don't watch A Year Without a Santa Claus very often because they are the only part that I really like. So typically I don't watch the whole thing just to see them, and I was like, I don't know how much I can really talk about, so I left them off my list. But
so you go many years without A Year Without Santa Claus.
Yes, I do. Okay. Many years, because I like my years with Santa Clauses, not without them.
This guy's got jokes today.
Listen, I'm on painkillers.
Hey, he didn't break his funny bone.
It's the painkillers.
I'm gonna go see myself out.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick. To summarize,
I'm next. Oh no, but I want Kelsey to be here for this. Okay,
I'm here.
I told you all I had 9 Santas, but now that I see that Chad has 2 picks after me, and he's already picked his hero and his villain, he still has to pick a Santa, and I'm worried he's gonna pick a Santa in his next 2. So I'm gonna take my Santa now. Because my villain, I can wait on my villain, and my bit character, no one's gonna pick my bit character. So, earlier when I said I was going to bring up Emperor's New Groove, right, as my movie, but Emperor's New Groove, it's not a Christmas movie, but it has a really whiny little entitled bitch who learns how to love and learns how to be kind by meeting a gentle giant, Klaus. And my favorite Santa?
That makes sense,
Klaus. Yeah. And who's really just Cusco, but more Christmassy? I'm not going to name his name because he's a character I don't want to tip, but you know who I really love in Klaus? I love Klaus. He's my favorite Santa. I had a favorite Santa for a while from a movie that's come up a lot that I'm not going to spoil, but ever since Klaus came up, I love Klaus more and more, and it's become my favorite Santa because I also love the mythology it brings. It kind of encompasses not just this warm, gentle soul and beautiful, character, but this idea of the mythology of Santa and what it means to be Santa, not just as a, piece of corporate whatever, but as like a generous giver. And I love the mythology it brings. There's a hauntedness to it, that character. There's a darkness and an edge, but not in like a badass way, but like a more of a sad way. I just think it's one of the most dynamic characters in modern Christmas movies, and I think this is going to be a film that I think as more and more people watch consistently, myself included, I think it could end up being a modern classic, if not already a modern classic. So I love this movie, but specifically the character of Klaus, I think, is just so layered and complex, and I could write a whole thesis paper on just that character alone. So yeah, it's one of the most unique iterations of that character.
This was going to be my next pick. It was my number 2 after Scott Calvin. No, it's all right. It happens. It's what you do.
But I'm glad you love him. I'm glad you love him.
Well, here's the thing. When I first saw this movie, I'd heard how good it is. People kept saying, "Oh, everybody has to see Klaus," and I started watching it, and I hated the first 30 minutes of this movie. it just was so annoying.
Because the main character is annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, he is annoying, and it was all about how annoying he was. And I was
Cusco.
just like, oh my God, this is just such an annoying movie. Why is everybody saying it's good? And then it gets into it, and then I'm getting more invested in it. And then finally, once we get to like the Klaus of it all, it's just J.K. Simmons is so good voicing that role. That character is so heartbreaking and wonderful. I was going to pick it because it's a wonderful pick, and
Thank you.
it was next. So,
Well, it's a Wonderful Life. It's wonderful. No,
It's
anyway.
one beautiful life.
Kelsey Klaus. Have you seen Klaus yet?
I haven't. I made a list now on my phone of all the movies I'm gonna watch after this. Klaus,
really
It's a
hope
Wonderful
that's
Life,
number
Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, maybe not. Okay. Yeah, there's some other classics you maybe should get to first, but Klaus, make it. It's a quick one. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. I love it. Yeah, check it
It's
out.
the one on
Especially-
Netflix, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
Get past the first 30 minutes, and I promise it's good.
And even
I'll
then,
give
the
you guys
animation-
live updates in
I
the
was gonna-
Discord.
I was gonna get into Klaus the movie, but we're not here to talk about the movie. So, yeah, Chad, thoughts on Klaus, Mr. Klaus?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a great movie. It is one that I feel like, if it hasn't already, could become a classic. And I love its kind of unconventional approach to like a Santa Claus origin story. And I love the main character, the postman, and stuff. As a Santa, it's not one of my favorites, and I think it's because it is such like a tragic Santa that I'm like, it spends more time with him in that whole story, because they give him kind of a different kind of thing. There's no like,
Yeah, he doesn't push anyone off a roof.
this is sure, but
All right.
Maybe he
Like,
did.
we're
We just don't
coming
know.
at each other's.
it's far more
No, I'm
tragic
saying it's different.
than a Scott Calvin type of situation. It's at least he Scott Calvin has a son and stuff like that. Yeah, it's such a heartbreaking kind of thing that I'm like, I don't get as much jolliness. There is at the end, I think, but I don't get a lot of like jolliness. But I do get the, wanting to bring the gift of his creations, his toys, to kids, and that's the driving force for him. So that is a really great part of that Klaus. But that's essentially why I didn't put him on my list. But I do know that Dylan really loves that, and it makes sense because it is such a great film. But I do think it is a decent Santa that might grow in my my appreciation more. But there's just other ones that I have. But yeah, it is a great pick nonetheless.
Right. Stacy?
So much like Muppets Christmas Carol, Klaus has suffered from overhype. When I first watched it,
I'm sorry.
it's not just you; it was a lot of people.
Yeah.
I need to give it a few years and rewatch it.
Yeah.
So he wasn't on my list because I just thought that was fine.
You're still on his nice list. It's okay. Chad's pick, the 5th pick in the 3rd round. We're nearing the last 2 rounds of the draft here. Chad, sorry, you picked your hero and your villain. You got the rest of the 3 open for you. What do you want next on the board?
Next, I'm gonna go with my Santa.
Santa!
I know
Sorry.
him.
Oh,
And,
no, I dropped my pen.
so I did have I just wrote the movies down. So I did have the Santa Claus on there. I was looking hard at Scott Calvin, but that was already taken. There's a lot of other really great Santas that haven't been picked. But then when I think about it, I'm just thinking about like, God, there's 2 that really, really embody what Santa is. But there's one that like I think is a little bit more of an unconventional that embodies what really Santa is. And so I'm gonna go with one that it's also very relevant. What the hell are you doing, Dylan? Are you
I was
right?
trying to put up an A. but
Okay,
maybe I'm
yeah,
wrong.
you figured it out. No, I'm
Yeah.
picking Arthur Christmas.
Yeah.
Because
I love
well, it's one of those things. First I just want to say like Aardman I think is in trouble with their whole Clay situation. So I'm hoping that they get that figured out, because I saw Chicken Run Done Up the Nugget and I loved it. And there's going to be a Wallace and Gromit next year. And Carrie and I just been watching like Shaun the Sheep and just all these things so much. And we have yet to revisit Arthur Christmas, but it's pretty much a yearly thing now. And I adore that movie. And I was going to go a different direction, more of a classic Santa. But I'm going to leave that one on the table. There's a couple of them that are like that, but there's one big one. I'm going to leave that one on the table, even though I adore it so much. I'm going to go with Arthur Christmas here, is because, like, you have a lot of...
Arthur Claus.
Yes. Yeah. Arthur Christmas is the movie. You're right. Arthur Claus. I'm going to go with Arthur Claus because you have a lot of different Santas. He's like in like a long line of Santas, but he's not like one that people would normally look at and see as a Santa, because he's not, big and jolly, and well, he's jolly, but he's also got like anxiety. But the biggest thing about him is the most important thing is making children's Christmas special and happy. Mm-hmm. And for everyone there, even like the current Santa Claus, the up and coming Santa Claus, they don't give a shit that one kid didn't get their present from Santa. And Arthur's like, this is the worst thing that could happen. We can't let one kid not get their present. Can you imagine like what their Christmas is going to be like? It's going to be terrible. And I love that he spends this whole movie just trying to get this one kid their gift. And, because of that, he ends up becoming Santa Claus. And I think he's just one of the one characters that really embodies what Santa actually is. And it's just such a delightful movie, delightful character. And I adore it so much. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I have to pick this one. And I think it rounds out my list with an animated as well. I think it's a really good thing to have on there. So I adore this one.
Yeah, I think this is just a perfect Christmas movie. Like, it's so good, well animated, but like that character is so endearing. It's not traditional Santa Claus, just like Klaus isn't, but like I like that. I like how it kind of plays with the mythology a little bit. It was my number 3, so it's my third favorite Santa after Klaus and another one that hasn't been mentioned. It's my time to burp. Yeah, brilliant. Any thoughts on Arthur Claus? Sorry, Matt. Sorry.
No, Stacy.
Matt and Stacy both inhaled. I was like, who's gonna speak?
I just have to say that I slept on this movie. I didn't see it until last year for the first time, so I've only seen it once. But I loved it. Like it was such a surprise to me how much I really loved that movie. So I don't have a lot to say about it except for yes, I like that movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Kelsey, have you seen it? If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
It's another one on the list.
Nice. That's really it. It's a good pick.
So I actually half rewatched this movie today, and I say half not because I watched half the movie, half because I was working at the same time. I didn't watch it specifically for this because I was too tired to know anything about it at the time. But it wasn't my first watch. I've probably my third time I've seen it, and it is such a sweet movie. I love the grandpa Santa who's so zany and fun, and I love that Arthur wasn't supposed to be Santa. His older brother was. Mm-hmm. But after what he does, everyone kind of agrees he should be Santa. And they're right. He's fantastic. It's just really, really sweet. And one of my favorites voices him, James McAvoy. So for that alone, he should be on a list.
It really is James the McAvoy. Crown, but Christmas,
Me
right?
too.
Like the succession of who's going to be the next king.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. I've never seen The Crown, but like the monarchy. Anyway.
It is. It's the Santa monarchy. You got it, Dyl.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I thought I was talking nonsense. I am, but Chad, what's gonna be your next pick? You still have your bit character left and your non-human.
This is tough. I do think I have a little bit deeper for supporting bit, so I think I'm gonna go with my non-human. And that it was where I was like heavy, like should I go Mantis? But it was already picked. So now I'm going to go with one of the ones that I initially wrote down for non-human. And I love this character so much. And it's actually from a Christmas horror movie. I'm going to pick everyone's favorite, Mogwai.
Yay! Yay! You narrowed it down for me. Thank you.
He was on my list too. I'm glad you thought.
Wait. Who?
Gizmo.
From Gremlins.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
I
have
don't have
an
a
idea,
Gizmo candy, but I have multiple.
Okay, I don't know why, but for some reason I thought we were talking about villains, and I was like, Gizmo is not a villain. What are you saying? But it's not human. Okay, I'm here.
Yeah. No, I already picked my villain. Yeah, Gizmo is freaking adorable. There are, images with him wearing a Santa hat. Yeah, bright light. He sings, he's adorable. Bye, Billy. He's so cute and sweet and just everything. Like, seriously, dude, like Gizmo gives, everything a run for its money. Baby Groot,
Oh,
Baby
yeah.
Yoda, everything. It's like the original, like, cutest freaking little thing.
He walked so they could run.
Exactly. And to see like a bunch of nasty, little creatures that get brutally murdered and just wreak havoc, to see them come from him is really insane. And Phoebe Cates at one point I think is like freaked out and is like, no, he's good, he's cool, and stuff. But he is like one of the cutest things. I love him in both Gremlins 1, Gremlins 2. Gremlins 1's more of a Christmas movie. Kind of a perfect. It's so good. And yeah, I don't know. There's not too much you could say. He's just adorable. He sings. He is the like cutest thing in the world. So there you go, Gizmo.
Yeah, no, that's
I
a
love
great
talking
deal.
about Gizmo.
Great deal or no deal. Get it? Because Howie Mandel. Anyway,
So I thank you because
Howie
I
Mandel is the voice of Gizmo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
he is.
really? Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Okay,
right?
that's why
I
we didn't
I learned that
understand.
for the first time last year. I was waiting for that little deal or no deal joke, but
Wow.
it landed just as all the rest of my jokes today have.
So
Sorry, Dyl.
as a girl under 10, when this movie came out, I have loved Gizmo since day one. I have I have a Gizmo in his car, and a Gizmo bobblehead, and a Gizmo little stuffed Gizmo. I'm so glad you picked him because I wanted him on the board so bad, and I was real. There's two that he was one of them that I was having a really tough time deciding between. I just love him, and he's like basically. I mean, for better or worse, we would not have Furbies either without Gizmo.
Yeah.
I don't know. They should, like, they look like they were based on Gizmo, whether or not they actually were. But yeah, you said. I mean, yeah, he's just adorable. He's the best. He's such a good boy. And apparently not all Mogwais are, because the other ones are not at all.
Yeah. He had those babies and they wreaked havoc.
Yeah. Stripe is a bad boy and he influences the other ones badly. Gizmo knows what's right.
Yeah, this is a good pick. This was on my list. As a girl under 10 when this came out.
I see you, Matt. I see you.
Oh man.
No, I mean I've always loved Gizmo. Gizmo is amazing and cute, and I love him.
Yeah.
I want to squish him.
Yeah.
Great pick.
I wanted Mogwai so bad.
Great pick. So now it's me, and I realized I have a bit character and a villain left. You all have picked a villain, but like my big character is not going to go. So like I'm going to pick my villain now, just because I think for the graphics sake it looks better. Matt, you had mentioned when you were talking about Hans Gruber, there were two villains after Hans Gruber though that you think might have dethroned. Who are those villains again?
I'm sorry, what now?
After Hans Gruber, you said there were two villains that might rival it for the best of all time. What were those two you mentioned again? It's for a segue. Just keep rolling.
I mentioned the Hans Landa and Joker.
All right, now the Joker. Would you say he's the best Batman villain, Matt?
Personally, yes. Or no, I don't. I don't think, but I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, well, maybe the best Batman villain, but who's the best Batman villainess, huh? And that is why my villain is going to be Selena Kyle, Catwoman from Batman Returns.
Nice.
I think Michelle Pfeiffer is the greatest Catwoman.
Oh yeah,
and that's hard. That's a hard bar because Zoe Kravitz and Anne Hathaway are great. But she is really what makes this character great. I think the origin story of her like becoming the villain, it's a great little like kind of spooky Christmassy scene where like it's the snow, but then all the cats start like clawing her, and then she becomes the Catwoman. I don't know. I love it. I love this movie for its kind of darker edge on Christmas. And I think it's just one of those great, like Guardians Holiday Special, not in the same tone, but like this kind of superhero meets Christmas hybrid. It's not as Christmassy as some other films, but it is a Christmas film, and I really think she is just one of the best villains in any comic book movie. She is sexy but scary, but also great when she's like not Catwoman too, just as Selena. She has so much character there, and her inciting incident and all that is great. Her downfall, and then her like final scenes after that. Like I think it's such a great character, and it's what makes that movie so good, and why I do come back to it every Christmas, and even not Christmas. I come back to it for her performance, or for her character because of that performance. So yeah, Catwoman, Selena Kyle. I'm glad no one vetoed it, but yeah, Matt, you're the Batman expert here. Are you a fan
I don't
of
know
this
what
pick?
you're talking about. I'm gonna pardon me while I get a cough drop.
That's great.
In my Batman head.
Yeah, are you a
No,
fan of Selena Kyle?
Okay, so I love her as Catwoman. I think she's incredible. I love this movie. Obviously, I love all Batman, but the origin story, I do love it. Unfortunately, because it's changed from the comics. Obviously, she's not the Crow, but the lady version of the Crow. That's not her story. But it does make it responsible for Catwoman 2004. Go watch Framewreck, where we talked about Catwoman 2004, and
Twice.
we did the
Right.
Razzies for that year. So we talked about it twice. No, I think she's great. I wouldn't, as a Batman fan, it's hard for me to call her a villain because she's more of an ally to Batman than an antagonist. But in that movie, I would say she's a villain. So yes, it works.
I didn't even think about the fact that she's like, I don't know. I'm sticking to it.
No, it's good. In that movie specifically, she is a villain. Like she does villainous things, so it works. But yeah, it's a great pick. She wasn't on my list, but not because I don't love her, because obviously I do.
Cool.
So yeah.
Any other thoughts on Catwoman?
She embodies that character. She is so great. Everything about Catwoman, like, being like just sexy as hell, just kicking ass, really using that whip, just having like these like just sassy kind of lines, and then just even like early on when she's the kind of like like the whole trope where you're like nerdy and then you turn to hardcore, but you need like that really big like change to show the change. She's great as the kind of like a crazy cat lady, I guess, at first, and then transitioning. Yeah, there's a reason why she just hasn't been topped. It's because she's easily the best. I think I could probably grow in my appreciation of the film itself. I don't love Batman Returns, but I think that could probably change giving another rewatch. But yeah, she is definitely one of the best parts of it for sure. Great pick.
Stacy?
So Batman Returns was always one of my favorite pre-Nolan Batmans. Well, it was the favorite, and it's because of her. Catwoman specifically, that one is just one of my favorite characters ever. I used to try to be her for Halloween, but when I was in high school, I was too skinny and they were one-size-fits-all costumes. So they would be like baggy on. I was like, this doesn't work. But the point is, like, I always wanted to be her. Like, she's just everything you guys said. And I mean, I don't know, I guess even at like 14, I liked the anti-hero. I liked the girl who could be good and bad. Yeah, she's just awesome. She's just awesome.
Yeah. Kelsey?
Jet, I haven't seen this movie, and I'm not trying to start a fight, but I just genuinely want to know, what is the Christmas element of Batman Returns?
It's Christmas adjacent. It takes place.
Yeah, it's much
it
more
like just
adjacent.
takes place during the holidays.
Yeah, but it's a lot of like there's like big nutcrackers. It's always snowy and
Christmas is part of the it's part of the setting and part of the story. Like most of the stuff that happens at Christmas type events, and they talk about mistletoe and there's just a bunch of
I'd say it's on the same page as like Iron Man 3 for the most part.
Okay,
cool. It's the story arc you could fulfill at another time of year, but like I think it adds to it, the atmosphere especially. Like it's a different kind of Gotham than we got in the '89 film, and that's my biggest thing with Christmas movies. And I'm not going to reopen any sort of conversations about anything, but just the atmosphere I think adds a lot to it too. Like Halloween movies versus just regular horror movies. Halloween movies have a extra edge of atmosphere that some even horror movies don't. I still watch horror movies during Halloween, but there's a reason like certain films stick out even more because of that atmospheric stuff. So,
All right,
and
so
this is one of those atmospheric.
do you remember earlier when you were like Emperor's New Groove might come up, and I was like, what? And so I was trying to figure out why Emperor's New Groove would come
right?
up. And it actually connected me to this pick, which is not the one you did, but you did pick it because Eartha Kitt, who plays Yzma, played
the first
Catwoman. Well, not the first Catwoman, but she was one of 3 people to play play Catwoman in the 1960s Batman. Catwoman, and that's what I thought was going to connect it to Catwoman. From Batman.
Maybe I would plan that all along, and maybe that was the intention. I don't know.
Is everything
you
just
remember
connected to Emperor's New Groove?
I don't know.
Apparently.
I don't know. I don't know. I was trying to think of another one off the top of my head, but I cannot. Patrick Warburton plays Kronk, and he's also in Ted, and that opens on Christmas. There you go. All right, Kels. So you need a
it's my turn
non-human.
again.
You need a non-human, and you need a supporting character. No, you don't. You already have a supporting
No, I need
character.
my hero.
That's right. You need a hero. I keep seeing Scott Calvin.
I listened to that song in the shower today.
I see Scott Calvin on your list, so I keep thinking that was your hero, but no, that's your sin.
Yeah,
so you need a hero and a non-human. There we go.
Okay. I think I'm going to go for my hero at this time.
Okay.
And I'm going to be okay. If you don't let me do this, that's so fair. I get it.
Okay.
Because I have a backup in it and it'll be fine. But
fine.
I
John
wanted to
McClane
do
was already picked though.
I wanted to quickly try to do something and make a pitch for why this person could be the hero of their movie.
Okay.
And I want to see what you guys think about me picking the Grinch as the protagonist
on my list
of how the Grinch stole Christmas.
He is the protagonist.
I believe that the real antagonist throughout that movie is Mayor Mayhew, played by Jeffrey Tambor. Sorry. Tambor.
Tambor.
Okay, thank you.
Tambourine.
Because I feel like the Grinch is kind of like an anti-hero, right? But even in that, it's right there in the name, anti-hero, hero. Yes,
Per Dylan's pre-established rules, he'd be non-human.
Well, that's my biggest thing. Is like, would you put him more in the non-human category?
No, I put him in the heroes category. He is okay. This is why your stringent rules are silly, because you got to give us room to breathe, man.
Right. No, and I did say if he's non-human and a hero or non-human and a villain, it could either be either or.
It's not what you said, though. No, you said it had to be most specific, and that the non-humans, like Rudolph,
and I think in Rudolph's case, the most specific.
I'm just looking for uniformity.
No, this one's tough though, because I don't know what is the most specific. Is it like that he is a non-human character, or is it that he is a hero?
Okay, so if Rudolph is non-human, Grinch is non-human. They're either both non-human or they're both main characters.
Luckily, I have both my hero and non-human left, so I could flip right now if we wanted to call him the non-human.
I mean, we could. If someone's going to veto, we can vote.
I just think that if Rudolph is got to be non-human, then Grinch has to be non-human.
I don't think Rudolph has to be non-human. I think he's either hero.
Well, I did say most. I did say most specific. The problem is like. Because I was thinking mostly like Santa. Like if you want to draft Scott Calvin as a hero, he's most specifically Santa, not a hero.
No matter
what
my position is, you go the opposite. So just
I think I am going to veto it because I think he should belong in non-human rather than protagonist. Only because I also see him more as like I don't see him as a full hero. He is a protagonist, but I also think he has villainous elements to him to where like
I've got an argument for this. If we need,
he's no more or less an antagonist than Catwoman, essentially in a way. You know, they both are bad and good, you know?
No. Here's why.
Okay.
Here's why. Because there is a.
I don't. You need two other people.
I'm giving you the thumbs up. So here's the thing. Because it's on my list, I had an argument ready. So I'm going to help you out here, Kelsey. Number one, there is a difference because Catwoman is the antagonist to the protagonist. Grinch is not an antagonist to a protagonist because he is the protagonist. That is the thing there.
It's your defense for him not being human.
I don't have a defense for him not being human. If you guys can go back to the Discord, I started a revolution against this most specific thing. Anyway, not the point. The movie itself is it relishes in how villainous he is. The point of the movie, he is proud of how villainous he is. The Mr. Grinch song is even, I think, sung by Jim Carrey. Like the movie is about how villainous he is. He is the protagonist. I think he goes in this role. He is non-human as well, so I think he goes in either one.
Right. Yeah, I think just most specific. Yeah, it's hard. I did this to myself by saying the most specific. It was mostly for if anyone wanted to draft Scott Calvin as the hero, I'd have been like, no, that's in the Santa. I'm sorry, Chad. You're rolling your eyes. Are you okay? Oh,
no,
I thought you were rolling your eyes. No, never mind. Sorry.
No.
No, but I don't know. It's hard.
I just think if Rudolph has got to go in non-human,
I had Grinch under non-human, but that's if no one else is vetoing with me.
I'm vetoing.
Okay,
I'm saying
so Chad,
either the rules are across the board or they're not. Like, right. I'm sorry, I don't really care, to be honest.
Yeah. I drafted Rudolph as a non-human because to me that's like where the animals and
would you have drafted him as a hero ever?
Rudolph?
Me?
Who?
No, Dylan. Would you have ever drafted him over your other choices as a hero?
Grinch?
No, Rudolph.
No, he was always in my non-human character. Grinch
right.
and Rudolph.
If that rule didn't exist, would he ever be higher than any of your heroes?
No.
So I think that he most specifically fits for you as non-human because you wouldn't put him in hero.
Yeah.
And
this is my own. Yeah, and you've changed my opinion on the hero versus villain thing because I did have Grinch as like most specifically he's a non-human, but then he's also a villain, then he's a hero. Like it's in that order. But you're right. Yeah, I'm fine if it's there. It's just Chad's gonna be the deciding vote here, but it's fine. I'm fine with Kelsey picking it. I'm just saying why I had him in non-human as my most specific because that is like I lumped everyone who was not human in a category and Santa in a category, and then everyone else I was like, are you hero or villain? That's how I kind of did it. When I thought of most specific, but you're right. If he's more specifically a hero than he is a non-human, if he's more heroic than he is human, then that's it. You know? Chad, are you vetoing or are you gonna?
So I do want to say that I do agree that I don't like the rules being like that stringent because I just think that
But that's my bad. And yeah, we don't need to. Yeah, I'll take that blame for that. I'm sorry.
I see where you're going with it, but I just think that like. I think that I like being able to like someone being able to make a case, and then if someone wants a veto, they can make a case against, and then we can vote. So I guess that's what we're doing now, and I'm not vetoing.
Okay, so Grinch is going to go under hero. Perfect.
I think that Kelsey should be able to do whatever she wants because the Grinch is such a character that he's very villainous for a while, and then he changes, and then he's a hero. He's like Scrooge in that way, where I think you could have Scrooge be either, to be honest, too. But then also non-human. So you can do one of three things. And that's where I was even trying to think. I have Grinch in my list under non-human, but then I also almost put him under villain. But then also, yeah, he is like the protagonist of the movie as well. So yeah.
Yeah. I think it was my fault that I think the non-specific I made that rule because it was mostly for Scott Calvin because I didn't want people to be like, but Santa's the hero of that movie. But I was like, oh, there's already a Santa category. Put him in the Santa category. I honestly should have thought more about the overlying, and that's my bad. I'm not good at this. I admit it. I'm not.
You're great.
This. No, it's not. It's fine. I got chat on, but it's fine. I'm great. No,
You got no one's chat on you.
I want to talk though about the pick because I think the pick is great, and the fact that Grinch is falling to you in the 4th round, Kels. I think you're going to win this draft because Grinch being a 4th round pick here. Grinch is one of the most iconic Christmas characters ever, and for you to get it as either category, that is amazing, and you should talk about why you love him because it's a great pick. It is one of the best picks, and if I didn't get Rudolph first, he would have been my first non-human I picked. So
I rented the How the Grinch Stole Christmas the other night when there was an iconic.
I was just gonna say you're taking the Jim Carrey one or the animated.
Jim Carrey. For sure.
I didn't know.
Jim Carrey, please, for 500. So I rented this movie from YouTube because it was like nowhere for free, but like it's a quintessential watch for me every year that I was like, fine, I'll pay the $3.99 for it. But I watched it on the night where there was a huge blackout across all of New York. The lights, all the electricity went out like just like twice randomly because a power plant or something blew up in Brooklyn. And so I didn't end up actually finishing it, but I know this movie like the back of my hand anyway. So it didn't matter all that much. I knew that I was going to have to talk about this movie in some facet. So if you didn't let me pick the Grinch as the protagonist, I had an easy follow-up. But yeah, I think the reason he's the protagonist is because honestly, the Grinch isn't nasty to the Who's just for the sake of being nasty to the Who's. The Who's are mean to him first. The Who's kick him out of Whoville and like banish him and make him feel different and ugly and yada yada yada. Because at first, you know, like he's a little Grinch baby who I think, in my opinion, is just as cute as Gizmo. And he eats the Santa plate. And he's adopted by these two women who, in my mind, are lesbians. This movie said gay rights.
Wait, was there ever anybody saying they weren't lesbians? What are they?
I don't know. I just feel like we don't talk about it enough. You know, canonically, like they are married. And so he's raised by this adorable lesbian couple, and then he goes to school, he gets picked on in school, and then he literally trudges up this mountain at like 8 years old. Lesbian moms, where are you? Why aren't you looking for your 8-year-old son? He just disappeared into the mountain and nobody cares. They're not looking for him. That's the part of the movie where I was like, all right, points deducted from you, moms, because you should have been looking for your son. And that's the whole reason why he hates Who's and Christmas. But he's very, you know, he takes an interesting turn throughout the movie because you think it would take until the very end to kind of get where he gets. And essentially it does. But there is that middle section when he does go to the Who, what's it called? The Cheermeister, Hubilation. And, you know, he's kind of into it, and it's not, and for a little bit, it's a bit, and he does go there with like ulterior motives, but like there's a split second in that sequence where he's like kind of into it and he feels accepted, and it's not until Mayor Mayhew fucks it up again, where he's like, no, can't trust these guys. I'm out of here. I'm stealing Christmas. So I just root for the Grinch more than anybody else in that movie. Because I think there's no other clear character to root for, which is why I think that he is the clear protagonist in my mind. So I'm so glad you guys let me pick him as my hero. That was really going to fuck up my draft. So thank you guys so much.
And I am sorry for not clarifying earlier. That's my bad. And
I just want to point
out,
all
good, Dyl,
in that he also saved Cindy Lou Who in the mailroom very early on.
Yes.
And that's before any of the other stuff happens.
100%. Thank you, Stacy. That was a good point to bring
up. Just so you know, it's not the whole. I'm fine with you taking the Grinch. It's just all of these rules always seem to bite me in the ass.
I think going forward in 2024, we might not have categories. We might just do free reign topics, because I think it really the categories and stuff. No, because it adds a lot of.
I like the categories.
Categories are the best thing. Like those are the most fun.
I just got to be less.
I think honestly, Dyl,
Let
the
us
way
have
that
fun.
Be less wishy-washy. Either be completely stringent or not at all. That's the problem. That's where I have the problem.
That's what the vetoes are for. If someone has a problem with the pick, then they can veto.
Yeah, and that was a good example of a veto that didn't necessarily work, but Stacey and I were able to explain why we thought he should belong in a different category, and that's how it works.
100%.
Cool. All right, Maddie.
Because that's what you told me.
Okay. Stacey, don't turn me into a Grinch. I'm kidding. No, but Grinch is a hero, so maybe
I'm never invited back on draft day.
No. If anything, I
I
wouldn't be invited in draft day. I might just moderate and watch 5 other people. I'm clearly very bad at this. All right,
it's
Matt.
because you broke. You just have a sore coccyx, and
I do. I'm in a lot of pain. Matt, what is going to be your fourth?
Okay, I think I'm going to go with. Okay, to tell you what category I'm going to go with now, I'm going to tell you a little story about how the other day my 9-year-old, and some of you have heard this, my 9-year-old I overheard my 9-year-old saying to my wife, Daddy is a lot like Santa, except he doesn't wear red and his hair isn't white and he doesn't make toys in a workshop. So fat, and beard. Okay, got it.
Jolly? What about Jolly?
Golly.
Also jolly.
Do you like
Um,
cookies? No?
Well, yeah, but that goes along with it.
Oh,
Anyway,
sorry.
so I'm going with my Santa pick. There are a lot of great Santas, but I really like Santas who stand out. Like there are some that feel quintessential Santa, like quintessential Santas, and there's some that are classic but also feel a little bit different. Well, I love Richard Attenborough's version of Kris Kringle. For me, I always go back to Edmund Gwynn as Kris Kringle in the original Miracle on 34th Street. There's something about him that feels everyman, but you still feel that he feels like an everyman, but he also feels ancient and wise. And I really love that. And you can't get him down. That's the thing I love about that character. When he's being sued for whatever the thing is. He's having to make his case in court legally to be Santa, and you can't get him down. He's still got the Christmas spirit. I love that character, the performance. It makes me happy. That's it.
Yeah.
He does get a little bit down briefly, like when he's in the mental institution and stuff. But the thing that Matt said that he doesn't get down is because he does inspire those around him to never give up on him. So
Right.
it is one of those things. And yeah, this is the other one that I was really thinking about picking, and I left it for Matt to pick because this is, I think, the quintessential Santa. I love Edmund Gwynn in the role. I love this one, my all-time favorite. I like this more than It's a Wonderful Life. I think this is just like a perfect. I love the story. Like I saw it in like play form first, which was really cool, and then I saw the movie, and then I was like, I love this. I love Natalie Wood in it. I love Edmund Gwynn. I love the how he takes this child and her mother who are like, we're not going to believe in nonsense and, dreaming and all this stupid shit. We're going to do practical. It's hard, being a strong businesswoman up in here. We can't start dreaming and doing all this stuff. And then he's like, nah, you gotta embrace your inner child. You gotta, be silly sometimes and have dreams and pursue them and stuff. And he's it's not just gift giving with him, even though he does give a pretty dollar gift there at the end, I might say. Yeah, he inspires people in way more ways than just gift giving and stuff. Even though he does refer them to Gimbal so they can have a happy Christmas or Merry Christmas. And yeah, this is the one, and he's able to, via the United States Postal Service, he is able to prove that he is the one and true Santa Claus, and it's perfect picked. I'm sad that I don't have this on my list, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's a great Santa, great movie Santa. Everything has been said, but it's amazing. I don't want that to downplay the pick. It's because it's an amazing pick, amazing film, and yeah, it was on my list of 9. And yeah, I could have picked this one easily. It's great. Stacy.
Yeah, so I just hadn't seen this one as recently, because I always just go to Miracle on 34th Street as like Santa. Like that's the first thing I go to when I think the Santas, the best Santas. And I just hadn't seen this one as recently, so I went with Richard Attenborough. And plus, I love Richard Attenborough.
Right.
Great.
Kelsey, you haven't seen these ones, right? The Miracle.
No.
Oh, cool. So we're gonna go on to Stacy now, who's gonna round us out.
Stacey's
2 other
having
categories that I'm not keeping track of because I
real decision problems right now.
You picked your hero, your villain, and your Santa. Right?
I know what they are: non-human and supporting.
Yeah, I know what I need. I'm just having trouble picking one of them.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
For my supporting character, I have 3 that I'm trying to pick between, and I think I'm going to go with one who I don't think this movie's going to be represented otherwise, and the story of the side character always just really gets me in the feels, and that's going to be Major General Thomas F. Waverly from White Christmas.
Ooh,
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
I thought you were going somewhere else. I love that.
the whole thing, you know, first of all, even as the major in the beginning, he's a fun guy. He's a good guy. He makes sure they have the time to do their Christmas show and everything, you know, while still being authoritative. And they do the whole walk where he tells them what's messy and what's not messy, and then they sing White Christmas, and it's all great. So they find him at the inn, and you know, he's down on his luck and he wants to get back in the army or whatever they were in specific. I think it was the army, and that's not working out. So the guys there that I watch White Christmas every year. Right now, I can't even remember the names of characters. Bing Crosby and his friend.
Yeah.
Bob and
Jenny
Phil.
Kay is the other actor.
Yeah, Jenny Kay is the other actor. So they you know, have this plan to do the show, to bring customers, and then to have this big thing where they get all the as many guys as they can from their division of the army to come and honor him as a surprise. Every single year, every single time, if I'm actually paying attention to the movie, it makes me cry. Every time, without fail. Sometimes I cry before we even get there because I know it's coming. Like, I just love it so much. His character is just such a grandpa, just such a sweet, but a little curmudgeonly, but really sweet under it all grandpa. When he's walking Danny Kaye around and he wants to watch a show, but the guy's pretending to have a hurt ankle, and I don't know. He's just great. He's just great. And White Christmas is great, and I love him.
Love it.
I did not expect this pick, but I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good pick. I agree. It makes when I watch that, I don't know that it makes me cry every time, but I definitely get emotional every time I watch the end of that movie. So
I've never seen it, so I need to check it out.
what, Dylan?
I've seen it on stage, just never the movie. So
I've seen it on stage too.
I was about to freaking say, like, you know, Dylan would freaking love the.
Oh my god, yeah!
I love this character.
Sister
If this character's like he is on stage, yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
character. Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna love the movie. It's one that my wife loves, and you know, has a special bond with her late mother for this movie. So it has a very special place for her. And for the longest time, I always tried to watch White Christmas because I knew how special it was to her. And then I was just like, I can't get into it. I don't know what is it about the military? What the is going on? Is it even about Christmas? And then, like, for the longest time, I just could not get into it. And then I finally sat down and watched it. And then I was like, all right, this is a pretty sweet movie. I'm not at the I love it stage, but I think the next time that I watch it, it's fully going to click. And I'm just going to be like, I love this movie, because I do think it has such great, sweet parts, and the songs are great, and the chemistry between the two leads and stuff. And my wife and her sister used to apparently perform the Sisters song together.
That's awesome.
And so then I was like, well, maybe my wife and Elliot could perform it together at one point. So
only if he wears drag.
Yeah,
like they do in the movie.
If it happens, I'll share a video or something.
I would say that I don't know if I came to this movie now if I would love it. It is a little slow in parts, but I grew up watching it with my mother as well, and that's why it's just it's a must do. And I love it.
Kelsey, how do you feel about this?
I love that White Christmas is getting represented in this draft. It's my roommate's favorite Christmas movie, so we just watched it together the other night. And I had seen it before. I've seen like the show on, in the theater before. And I also have a special place in my heart for the Sisters song, because when I first started getting into theater, that was one of the first songs that I ever performed with my best friend Lauren.
Yay!
There was like an era where, like, whenever we needed to just throw something together real quick, we would just be like, all right, we're doing Sisters. Let's go.
There was an era where Dylan had to watch every single one of those.
Nice.
It was great.
It was great. We had the feather boas and everything. And honestly, like, I was watching it and I literally said, I was like, not to be like, they don't make movies like this anymore. They really don't make movies like this anymore. Like, it's just so classically what like a Hollywood movie is. And I think my favorite parts is just like is the costuming and the choreography. It's just like really unmatched. And I think you need to be like either like a theatery person to like really, really appreciate those aspects. So I totally get why Chad is like, I don't really understand what that movie's about, because honestly, ask me the plot of White Christmas, I don't entirely know. All I know is that I like looking at it and I like singing along to the songs. So that's it. I love it.
That makes sense too, because I was a theatery kid.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
There we go. All right, Stacy, what are you gonna round us out with?
And I was just gonna say too, because it came up a couple times. I actually took my mom and my grandmother to see the stage version one year when it came to Boston for Christmas. Nice. That was their gift. So I'm very excited about my last pick. I saved the best for last.
Okay.
Chad took Gizmo off my hands, making this easy for me. So there is a couple little known Christmas specials. One is called Homecoming. The other one is called Gift of the Night Fury. They are How to Train Your Dragon Christmas specials, and Toothless is my pick.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
I've talked endlessly about Toothless to anyone that would listen. I love him. He's one of my favorite characters ever. He's so adorable. He's so funny, but he's also can be scary and intimidating. I just love him so much. I'm tired and I can't articulate a lot of things, but I just love him.
Toothless is a good boy. Love
He's
it.
the best boy.
It's a great pick. I don't want to talk too much about it because I think last time we talked about How to Train Your Dragon on this show, we made Dylan cry because of our Shrek comparison.
Wait, what?
How much better it is than Shrek.
I don't know. I talked about it when I drafted it for Trilogy.
I agree with that though, so I don't know why.
Oh, really?
Do I?
That was not your reaction at the time. Anyway, not the point.
Shrek 2. Shrek 2 can't be beat. But
Yeah, it can.
It could be beat by Shrek. I don't understand.
Well, we're talking about.
Anyway, we're talking about.
I have a Toothless argument. That was my.
Toothless is great.
I don't have a bite.
I love Toothless. It's incredible. That's all I need to say.
Yeah, I've never seen the special, but I love the character from the movie. So
nobody's seen the specials. That's why I was so excited.
Are they on Netflix? What are they on?
They're on Peacock, right?
So no, wait, what? No. So Gift of the Night Fury, which has more Toothless, which is I think the more. It's called Snoggletog, not Christmas, when you're Vikings on Burke. Yeah, I've watched this stuff.
And we got a veto it, Stacey. I'm kidding.
But so Gift of the Night Fury is on Netflix, but you have to look at it under a DreamWorks Holiday Collection.
Okay.
You can't find it if you look up How to Train Your Dragon and A Gift of the Night Fury. And then Homecoming is on Hulu.
Cool.
Oh.
And you can find it under Homecoming. It will say that it's the first episode, but it's the first episode of one. There's only the one. It's not a show. Yeah. I love Toothless.
Oh, I love that.
I've never seen these movies yet again, but I do understand that Toothless is a very cute character.
So I've seen these because I had a little kid. We literally own that DreamWorks compilation that is on Netflix with like a Shrek one and a Madagascar one and all that stuff. So that's how I knew they existed. I had a little bit of an advantage there.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know why I would have cried, but maybe I did. I gotta watch it back because
I didn't really cry. Like because I said during that draft when we were talking about How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, I said that trilogy is better than any single Shrek movie.
Did you pick Shrek as a trilogy, Dylan? Is that why?
Well, because Shrek is not a trilogy though. It's a sextet.
I don't know. I just know I picked How to Train Your Dragon trilogy.
It's a 6 movie. What, 6 sextilogy? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, it's a quadrilogy with 2 spin-off movies.
Yeah.
Right. Those spin-off movies are very good, so I include them.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, this is about Toothless. Any other thoughts on Toothless? The character in the specials, or regardless, or otherwise?
Well, I love How to Train Your Dragon, like the trilogy. I love Toothless, the character, and now I just want to watch those specials because I haven't seen them, and I'm glad Stacy recommended them because I wouldn't have known about them otherwise probably. And there's another special that I watched very recently that I will bring up in honorable mentions. That is a Christmas thing that is very similar. So I'm down to watch a lot of these now because they lift me up a lot.
Love it. All right, Matt. You get to pick your supporting / bit character. What are you gonna pick?
My final pick. Here's the truth. There is one character that I absolutely have to pick, but there was part of me, even though I knew no one was going to take it, there was part of me that was hoping someone would take it so I would get to talk about my favorite performance of a movie from this year. But I'm not going to pick that one.
Okay.
I am going to talk about The Ghost of Christmas Present from Muppets Christmas Carol.
Nice.
Okay.
Hey, I had another
Okay.
good Christmas
If you
present.
know Matt, you know that he was going to pick this.
Yeah. I have a kinship with The Ghost of Christmas Present. It's a role that I've always wanted to play on stage. I think I could because I do just look like him.
Yeah.
I would love that, but not only that, but like he's so funny. He's cracking jokes, cracking all that, just a lot of wisecracks. He's so jovial, and he's always prancing around and having a good time. I absolutely love that character. It's my second favorite thing about that movie because it's obviously Scrooge. Mike's Kane of Scrooge is my favorite, but this is. I like Stacy. I love Christmas Carol just in general. I love the story. I love all the movies about it. Like it's just a great story, and I love it. And throughout, in basically every version, this character is always my favorite. I love Ghost of Christmas Present.
Yep.
There's a couple lines in the movie that just really hit me where I am and just make me feel that kinship that I mentioned about between me and him. One of them is Scrooge says, "You're a little absent-minded, Spirit," and he says, "No, I'm a large absent-minded spirit." And there's another one which is not. I don't think most people really take it as a joke, but my friends and I always get a kick out of it, and that is like when they're watching Fred and his family play games, and Scrooge says, "Do people play games at Christmas?" He says, "I love games," which is not an answer to that question. It's just talking about how much he loves it, and that's what the thing is, because that's the thing about The Ghost of Christmas Present. He lives in
the
one
present.
day.
Mm-hmm.
He lives in one day. When Scrooge asks him how many how many siblings he has, he says 1,800 of my brothers have come before me. He said, "My time on this world is very brief." When he gets to the end, he's got gray hair and he is about to perish away because he lives for one day. And that's the mentality that he has. And that's the life that he lives. He's embracing that one day because he's the Ghost of Christmas Present. I love him.
Wow.
You said it all, man. That was great. I loved how Kelsey brought the picture too, because it is so.
Yeah, because I wanted
It
to
looks
see
just like you,
him.
Matt.
Did you bring up a picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
she did.
did. You were really passionate, so you weren't looking at the screen, but I did bring him up.
So lovely.
And there's even him with the gray hair as well.
Yeah.
Mm. I love it. Any thoughts on that? I mean, Matt, you said it all, but does anyone else have anything else to say about that?
I think that's an adorable pick, and I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I agree. The Ghost of Christmas Present is often the best part of A Christmas Carol. One of the ones that I'll talk about in honorable mention that I had a really hard time picking for bit characters was a different Ghost of Christmas Present from yet a different version than my Scrooge. And yeah, I mean, I think that's great. I did he was one of the standouts for me when I did rewatch Muppets Christmas Carol. So it's a really fun pick.
Love it.
Yeah, it is a really fun pick, and I love that it's also a very Matt pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's one, I love when people pick something that's like only that person would probably pick that, and that's great. It's like Dylan with his Larry pick.
Yeah, Larry Bagby. Yeah, I got a CD right here. And it's gonna be my big character is gonna be a pick just like that too. But we have to get to Kelsey's
Oh, I
first.
thought it was gonna be Larry Bagby.
No, he's not in the Christmas movie, as far as I know. I
It's a holiday movie.
Yeah, I can't spit it that way. All right, Kelsey, pick your hero. No, you didn't. You picked it. Pick your non-human.
I'm picking my non-human. Okay, so once again, if there's backlash,
Is it
so
a human that
fine.
you're calling a non-human?
As long as they're
No,
non-human,
no.
you're
Wait, it's
good.
wrong.
Not
As
at all.
long
Well-
as they're non-human, you are good.
Well, it's a group.
Jesus Christ, Kelsey.
I love this,
Multiple.
You
Kelsey.
get a duo, a group, a
Thank
non-human.
you.
That's it.
Okay, so I want to pick for my non-human characters, the Island of Misfit Toys from Rudolph the Red-Nosed
That's fine.
Reindeer.
That's
That-
fun.
That is good. That's fine. Yes.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good.
Well, because how do you pick one? So if you're gonna
Charlie
pick
in the box.
So you're picking
okay,
the
who the
Misfit
fuck
Toys,
wants a
or you're-
Charlie in the box? Okay, he's
the
not
island,
wrong.
The island is not itself a character. You're picking the Misfit Toys themselves.
The Misfit Toys, yes.
And,
Um,
I'm just giving you shit, Kelsey. Like I got all my picks. I'm not unhappy. Like, it's fine.
Well, you know, and if you guys made me pick one, I would have went with the spotted elephant. I already had one ready to go. Because honestly, the Charlie in the box is fucking annoying. And I get it. He's probably like the main misfit on the island of Misfit Toys. But like, no, I don't like the way he sounds. I don't like the way he looks. I don't like him. I like the elephant or maybe the dolly or the caboose with square
I was gonna say,
wheels.
what about
Those
the
would have
train
been
with the
my.
square wheels?
Yeah, of course I know the train with the square wheels.
When the cameras aren't rolling, the Charlie in the box as the Lotso. He's like,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah,
I'll go
right.
get toys.
No, literally, it's the same energy. So I'm glad I'm getting all the toys, and it's just like such a sweet little scene, and also that song is beautiful. Like here on the island of misfit toys. Oh, I think it's such a sweet little jingle that they sing, and I just love them. So those are my non-humans.
I love them. All the toys.
Love it.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with that doll. I don't know why she was on the island of Misfit Toys. She was just a doll. She was fine.
She ain't no.
Like a
misfit.
funny name or something. I
Maybe.
think she had like a funny
Maybe
name.
her pulley didn't work or something.
There was
Or,
something
I
I
don't
just,
think they mention it. I don't think they mention a reason, but I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
fine.
either.
yeah,
It's like
no.
a
Now that
mental-
you say it, Matt,
Maybe she got like
I'm-
mental health. I don't know.
Mental health issues.
Maybe.
I remember she was like crying at
You're
one point.
bipolar.
But no,
Freaking
that's a good
Borderline,
Lots of bipolar
borderline
going
personality
for
disorder,
Christmas.
Barbie.
I love you, Kelsey, because you're so chaotic, and this chaotic pick was fitting for the chaos that we
I love
did
it.
here.
Oh,
Oh,
I love listening to that song.
It
The
might-
Glee cast is a version of that song, and I think
Yeah.
that song is so fitting for Glee.
yeah. It was
Say what
very
you will
funny.
about that show, but in its heyday, in its
amazing.
prime,
Oh,
like
some good songs.
This was
no
fucking
no
incredible.
notes about like Glee season 2. Obviously, like
Oh,
you know,
God,
we get
so
to
good.
scary season 6, and it's like, what were they
Oh my
doing?
God.
But like in the prime of the Glee days, like wow,
Oh, that really
They
sent
knew what
me.
they were
Wow.
doing.
Whew.
Well,
Dolly-
Dill, what are
Dolly-
you laughing about?
What's the Dolly's talking about what personality disorders Dolly has and shit? Like, I just feel so bad.
Well, I think
Jesus.
Seasonal
schizophrenic.
depression, Dolly.
it's really wrong, but I think
Oh
that the doll is a misfit because she's redheaded. She's a ginger.
Oh,
She's like the redheaded stepchild.
Oh no.
That's
Why?
hilarious,
Why-
Chad.
I mean,
Are
when
you
it
being
came out,
genuine or are you
it could be
making a
that.
ginger
No,
joke?
like she like
No,
you
like
look at
Chad
her
has got the
picture.
Wikipedia up now, right?
Yeah.
Wow, shit, man. I don't even know how I'm gonna
The-
top that, but somehow I'm gonna have to try. So for my pick, little did any of you know, 2 of you already tipped my pick, and I was very upset because I was like, damn it, I wanted to be the first person to bring it up, but Chad and Matt both tipped this pick, and they didn't even realize they did. My favorite bit character in any movie. This is a character that I quote every time this character comes up on screen. This is a character that everyone else quotes when they think of this movie. This is a character that has no impact on the movie whatsoever, but is my
Oh my
favorite
God.
part of it. Do you
What
know
is
what
it?
it is? Do you have a guess?
Yes.
But the children love the books. I'm
Mm.
picking but the children love the books none as my bit character.
Love it.
I think it's just one of those things where the movie isn't there until that happened. Like I'm watching the movie, I'm like, it's Elf, great, love it. And then as soon as cut to Walter Hobbs in his office, and you just see her, but the children love the books. I'm in, baby. I'm not taking my eyes off that screen. We are watching Elf. Happy holidays. She is the holidays to me. She is the epitome of what a supporting character should do, in the fact that it should be the most memorable, memeable moment of your film. That's not really true, but it is for me, and it is for this performance. Shout out to Dorothy McGuire. Sorry, no, Brenda McDonald. I don't know why I came up with that name. Brenda McDonald, who plays the nun. I did find her credits, and I do want to give her a shout out for being perhaps my favorite bit character in any Christmas movie. Listen, I needed to think of a 5th category. I was like, okay, we got heroes, villains, Santa.
Surprise
Maybe
was the songs.
we'll make a category for like Rudolph and like the animals. And I was like, all right, what could be a 5th category? And I was like, it'll be fun. Like, bit characters. And I was like, no, but no one's gonna, like, I feel like this is the only bit character that matters. So like, we'll make it supporting. but this is as bit as it gets, and it is my favorite bit of all these movies. And I think I just lost the draft on it, but I don't care. I love it.
No, it's great.
And the
It's
children love the
amazing.
book, and she needs to be there to make sense for Hobbs's villain arc too. I mean, like we
does.
talked about it. That's when the tip was picked, but it is important in telling Hobbs's villain story. I mean, the reason he is the villain, the central inciting incident of the film, is because the children love the books.
There's
So
no there's no small roles. There's only small actor. Wait, what's the line? I don't remember what.
I don't know, but Brendan
That's it.
McDonald.
No,
far from
there's
small
no
actor.
small roles. There's only small actors.
Sure.
You're close.
Yeah, so she has one line in this.
Mhm.
She delivers it perfectly.
It's the best line reading in cinema. Yeah.
It is the best, and just like she enunciates every little bit.
Mhm.
Boop.
No, like Jack
Perfect.
Nicholson's like Here's Johnny had the title from like 1980 to 2003, but then he vacated it. It's fine.
Perfect.
Any thoughts on
So
Brendan
sweet.
McDonald's but the
So-
children love the books? None.
Funny enough, I had the right movie, but the wrong one line.
Well, it's funny because I have 5 elf characters in my bit characters. The thing I love about elf is the bit characters.
Mhm.
Chad hasn't picked his yet, so I'm not going to say any because it might be his. I don't know. But so many great ones who are. Some are animated, some are live action, some are nuns. I mean, there's
Some
so
are
many
nuns.
great-
Because they're not
Yeah.
animated or live action. Nuns get their own category.
Pick a nun from. I'm the nun that discovered Buddy in the diapers. No, I don't. I know. I love this one line. It's so good. I quote it my friend Steven all the
fun.
time. I just
It's
look
fun
at him, and it's the hands. So you got to do that. You got to do the
Mhm.
hands. You got to do the hands. It's. I mean, Bill Hader wouldn't have had Stefan if we didn't have. But the children love the books.
Well, okay. I've already addressed this earlier, obviously, because I did that. But yes, that's an incredible
Yeah.
yes, character.
Yeah,
Well,
she's a game
One
changer
thing
the
that
same way
I-
Cowboy is from Survivor Cook Islands.
Honestly, it's the same as my pick. It's just as good as my
Right,
pick.
and just just as iconic.
It's
Yeah,
important.
you think of that movie, you think of that character. You know what I mean,
Right.
Kelsey?
One thing that I forgot to mention when we were talking about when we were having our really in-depth conversation about Elf is that I feel like I love that Buddy doesn't get raised by Santa. He gets raised by Papa Elf because I feel like a lesser screenwriter might have written it a different way. And also, I did Google why Dolly is on the island of Misfit Toys, and the answer is shocking, guys. I just want you to know. According to CBR.com, which I don't know how credible they are, but
God, book resource.
as one of the unwanted misfit toys, a troubling label in its own right, Dolly's only apparent flaw is showing persistent sadness, signs that she's likely suffering from depression. So we hit the nail right on the head
Books.
in assuming that she just is mentally ill,
Wow.
and that's
Oh
what
my
makes
God.
her a misfit.
Is she depressed because she's a ginger? Because that makes it even worse. Because no one's gonna be depressed about that. Oh my God. Anyway, Chad, round us out here. The Mr. Irrelevant pick. What are you going to pick as your final pick of this draft? Your supporting / bid.
Well, I mean, since everyone's picked, I can kind of rattle off a few honorable mentions here, and then talk about my pick. I had so many in this, and none of them were picked, so I could have any of these. But I know the exact one that I'm going to go with because it's a movie that remains unrepresented on mine, not unrepresented in the draft. So one person I think has something from this movie. But I had a lot, man. I had Myron Larrabee from Jingle All the Way, Thurman Merman from Bad Santa. I was thinking about doing this, but I already have this movie. Freaking Clarence. Jovi from Elf.
Jovi's
And then the other one that if I didn't have this hero, I would have this supporting character. It's Sergeant Al Powell.
Mm-hmm.
It was
It was on my list.
Yeah. But I'm
I
gonna
shot
go
a kid.
Yeah. He didn't say it like that, but I guess he does say it like that, doesn't he?
He does say it like that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with one that I absolutely love. I'm gonna go with Old Man Marley from Home
Oh, nice.
because I feel like for supporting, I think he is one of the best, if not the best, because he's so misrepresented the entire movie, and it's like one of Kevin's like big fears because his older brother was telling him that he kills people and uses the salts to make them into mummies. And then right, and then later on, there's a very pivotal scene where Kevin's kind of feeling a little lost. And when you're scared, go to church. So he goes to church. And Marley comes in, and and Kevin wants to run, and then he's like, can I sit here? And then they just have like this really sweet conversation, and it's just like, I'm scared. Like they have a heart to heart. Kevin embraces one of his fears, and turns out it's like, I shouldn't have been scared of this at all. My brother's a piece of shit. And old man Marley comes in, and then they help each other. And he gives him some old man, wise advice. And he's like, you're never too old to be afraid. You confront things and all this stuff. And then he's like, you need to confront your son and just say, just call him up, why not? And it's like, what if he doesn't want to be? It's like, at least you'll know. So, and then at the very end, you get a shot of him reuniting with his family. And it's such a sweet Christmas moment. And yeah, he's just one of my all-time favorite characters in a Christmas movie. And so when you said supporting, I was like him, and then the dad from Family Matters. So I went old man Marley just because Die Hard is already represented in great fashion on my draft board. So I wanted Home Alone on there as well.
I was going to make the same point you did, and you did, which was that they help each other out. I love that Kevin's advice, that he uses Kevin's advice and then reunites with his son. Also, you didn't mention, but he's the reason that Kevin does the whole trap thing in his house. That wasn't the point of what Marley was saying, but it is the reason Kevin does it. So he is to blame for the attempted murder, but. Yeah, it's a good pick. I think it's a great character.
And he saves Kevin's life. He saves Kevin at the end.
He saves Kevin's life. It's a heart-wrenching role, that character. Yeah, I really love it too.
Any other thoughts on old man Marley?
I think it's a very sweet side arc there. It's a good pick.
Yeah, Kelsey?
Yeah, I actually had under my supporting characters as an honorable mention. I said the bird lady from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, which this is probably not a very sorry, I don't know her name. I just know her as the bird
Brenda
lady.
Fricker is the actress.
This
Academy
might not be a
Award
very
winner, Brenda Fricker.
this might not be a very interesting or new take, but like Home Alone and Home Alone 2 were actually beat per beat the same movie, because her and Old Man Marley serve the same exact purpose in Kevin's storyline. And I think I just like her a little bit more because she's a little bit more kooky, like she has all these pigeons around her all the time. And she's got like an Irish accent. She's like this Irish, homeless woman in New York who's just like kicking it in Carnegie Hall. Like, she's got a wild story, man. And like the whole reason she's like, the only explanation she gives is like, well, I got my heart broken. That's my poor attempt at an Irish accent. And I'm like, girly pop, you're living in Carnegie Hall, in the rafters of Carnegie Hall, because you got your heart broken. I don't know. Life happens. But I love the Old Man Marley pick. And I just love how both of like this woman and Old Man Marley perfectly encapsulate like childlike fears, like just seeing like an old man just like shoveling with his salt, like how a child's mind can concoct that into something more sinister, and just like how the imagination runs wild, because like, those were that's like something that like my brother would have told me growing up, and that I would have believed, and then I would have been afraid of the neighbor. Like, so I just feel like it's so like relatable.
Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. That is our draft. A pretty long one. I'm going to recap the drafts, and then we'll do some honorable mentions here. Stacy has drafted Buddy the Elf, Hans Gruber. I'd love to see that fight. Santa from Miracle on 34th Street, the 1990s version. The Major General Tom Waverly, and Toothless from the How to Train Your Dragon Christmas special, holiday special. Matt has drafted the Wet Bandits, Ebenezer Scrooge from Muppets Christmas Carol, Mantis, Santa from the original Miracle on 34th Street, and the Ghost of Christmas Present from Muppets Christmas Carol. Kelsey has drafted Scott Calvin, Walter Hobbs, The Snow Miser and Heat Miser, Grinch, and The Island of Misfit Toys. Misfit
The
Toys.
best one, maybe.
Dill,
Chaos.
myself, has drafted Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, George Bailey, Klaus, Catwoman, and But the Children Love the Books None, played by Brenda McDonald. And Chad has picked John McClane, Mr. Potter, Arthur Claus, Gizmo, and Old Man Marley. So there
I can
are
really
draft
see this
boards.
one going anyway, and that's
It could
rare.
go any which
Yeah.
way, but probably not mine. But hey, thanks for.
I don't know. They
Yours
all
is
have
good.
like
Yours is
a
good.
Yours is
great.
solid.
If the children love the books, show up and vote. Speaking of, polls up, guys, on Facebook, so go vote. We cannot vote for our own, obviously, but you all listening can vote for any one of these 5. They are anonymous, of course, but if you watch this, maybe it gave you incentive to vote for one for passion, or you just like their choices, but vote on the Facebook poll, and I will announce it at the next draft day. Are we ready to get to some... Yeah, Matt?
We're getting to honorable mentions. I want to see if I can start off with a little thing here.
Yeah.
With this group, I jokingly suggested that I was going to make my entire draft board all Santas. And while I didn't do that, I did make a draft list of all Santas. I call it the Oops All Santas draft day. And my hero is Scott Calvin. My villain is Bill Goldberg from Santa's Sleigh.
Yeah.
The supporting is Chris Kringle from Edmund Gwen. He's a supporting character in that movie. Non-human is Robot Santa Claus from Futurama Bender's Big Score. And then my Santa is Kurt Russell from Christmas Chronicles.
Love
Oh,
He's on
nice.
my list
I was
too.
gonna say, while we're at it, let's continue along with some Santa honorable mentions. Kelsey, we'll go around the horn this way. Do you have any other Santas?
Yeah, just the Santa from Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yeah, it's a great Santa. Chad, any other Santas?
Yeah. I have David Harbour from Violent Night.
Mm-hmm.
I also have Kurt Russell from the Christmas Chronicles. But Goldberg from Santa's Sleigh. If you haven't seen that movie, it consists of Santa on a sleigh behind a really old, frigid kind of bitch of an old woman who's just an asshole to everybody. And he's like behind her in her little car, and she's driving all slow, just like angry. And then he's like, "Move, bitch! Get out the way!" Which is a ludicrous lyric, but it's just him screaming at this lady. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So
there you go. So yeah, I had like a list of 9 or whatever. Most of them were said. I also did consider Kelsey the Santa from Polar Express. I did. I considered bad Santa, Billy Bob Thornton, obviously, and then the big one.
He's not Santa. He's a man dressed as Santa.
Yeah.
Would I really gotten vetoed for drafting
Veto.
Santa?
I would have, yes.
Okay. I also
Who
considered
knows?
Santa from Last Christmas, played by Michelle Yeoh, but she probably wouldn't have counted either for the same reasons.
Nah.
But,
I would have accepted that one because that is Santa.
okay. No, that's a good point. And then my number 2, which was behind Klaus, before the Edmund Gwen, Santa, and Arthur Claus, was Ed Asner from Elf. So
Yeah.
All right, Stacey, any other Santas?
Well, I just want to. Most of them have been mentioned, all but one. But I want to say Ed Asner was actually the first one I wrote down, but I had Buddy, so I wanted to mix up my list. And then Kurt Russell was on my list. Tied for second, my 2 offbeat picks. One was David Harbour, who I love in Violent Night so much. He might be my favorite Santa, but I wanted to pick someone that said Santa to me, and he doesn't. And the other one, which I really wanted to pick just for the fun of it, but Anna Kendrick and Noelle.
Yes, I love Noelle.
Cute.
Yeah,
that's
a good
a very
I love her in that movie.
That's a good movie.
All right, let's do any more heroes, Kelsey.
I had Cindy Lou Who as my backup if you didn't let me pick the Grinch for How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and I also had Charlie Brown, and I also had the boy from the Polar Express. Although I would make the argument that the real hero in A Charlie Brown Christmas is Linus, but that's a whole other conversation.
Okay.
I would, not for nothing, but Cindy Lou Who is also not human.
Nope,
True.
she's a who.
She's a who.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
True. There's no humans in that movie. Yeah, true. Chad, any
Heroes. John McClane. I did have Buddy the Elf. I also had Arthur Claus under protagonist, but I'm so glad I got him as a Santa instead. Of course, Kevin McAllister, he defends his home, and Howard Langston from Jingle All the Way. He is Turbo Man.
Yeah. I also, of all the ones that haven't been said, I did have Susan Walker from Miracle on 34th Street. Sorry, I just choked on something. Stacy,
Cool.
any other heroes?
Yeah, I had Clark Griswold and Ralphie because I was just trying to think of people, and then I had my heart pick, Mr. Paul Maddens from Nativity.
Oh yes, I was thinking when you were going bit character or supporting, I thought you were going to go with Mr. Poppy.
He's on my supporting list.
I was going to say, yeah. So let's talk about that. Actually, Matt.
Hey.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was going.
Come on.
I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry.
All right. Paul Walleye Hunnam from the Holdovers, and Angus Tully from the Holdovers.
Yeah.
We're both in my heroes list.
And Mary.
Well, she is not on my heroes list. She's on my supporting.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Which you ruined it because I was excited.
I'm sorry.
To talk
No,
about it.
I think it's all three of. I don't know. It's
she was, to me, those were the leads, and she was the supporting actor. In that movie.
And also I was my list was all like bit characters, real bit characters. Yeah. So like, my heroes and villains are full of like Al Powell was one of my heroes. Like I have those ones there. So that's
gotcha.
Right. I didn't know you were on there. But.
And hero for Batman Returns. Batman for Batman Returns is also on my list for hero. So
I just want to add a hero. It's a hero, but it could also be supporting or bit. But hero for me, I was gonna maybe choose. I'm glad I got John McClane, but I was maybe gonna choose Kevin Bacon.
He's my supporting
because he's a hero when he says, "Hold on, I'm gonna be home late. I gotta teach some people about Christmas."
Right.
And
but he's not the protagonist.
It's hero. So
hero or protagonist. Yeah.
He sings one of the greatest Christmas songs ever. So,
but is he human?
Let's continue along though, Chad. Any other supporting while you go?
So I already went
bit.
My supporting.
Right. My other ones were all from Elf. Like Miles Fitch was on there, Mr. Narwhal, the snowman who sings.
Bye, buddy. I hope you find your dad.
The manager, the store manager at Gimbals, obviously. 6-inch ribbon curls. 6 inches. I love it. I didn't really consider any other movies for that, but there were definitely like all my supporting actor, like generally supporting were all kind of in my like hero and villain, just because I wanted this to be like really deep cuts for me personally, because I just wanted to bring up Children Love the Books lady, so I just kind of like changed my whole perspective on the whole categorization. But yeah, I'm excited to hear the rest of them. Stacy, what are some other supporting and big characters you have?
So when I was trying to pick between 3 supporting characters, one of them was Kevin Bacon in Guardians. The other one that it was a really tough call, was Carol Kane as the ghost of Christmas Present in Scrooge, who is delightfully violent, is the only way to describe her. She's just an agent of chaos in a fairy outfit, and it's wonderful.
Like Kelsey.
And then I had Mr. Poppy, and I had Peter Dinklage in Elf. Which for some reason, in just supporting, I wrote down actor names in movies and not. I have my brain is weird. And that's it for supporting.
Matt, any supporting or bit characters?
Yes, I actually Kevin Bacon is the only one that you guys have mentioned that I also had, but yes, I had him on supporting. Mary Lamb from the Holdovers, Divine Joy Randolph is probably my favorite performance of the entire year right now. She's so damn good, and part of me, I'm glad I picked Ghost Christmas Present because I got to go get that passionate speech, but there was part of me that wanted to forego that and just give her some love. But I think she's going to get a lot of love coming up. I think she's going to get some gold. Also, Old Man Parker, Darren McGavin from Christmas Story, his dad, is a supporting character I've always loved. It's a major reward. Gay Perry from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Val Kilmer. You still gay? Me? No. Neck deep in pussy. I just like the name so much.
That's so good.
And that's and then Kevin Bacon,
Kelsey,
who has great Kevin Bacon in that movie. The character of Kevin Bacon has great taste in movies because he's watching Santa Claus
Santa
Conquers
Claus
the
Conquers the
Martians,
Martians.
which you can watch our review on Framewreck from last year.
Yeah, you can see a lot of these movies.
Next year, Santa Jaws.
Yeah, Framewreck, you could see it's
I'm
Santa
on
Claus
it.
Conquers the Martians and our Star Wars holiday special, which hasn't been brought up yet. And then Chad and I did It's a Wonderful Life and Miracle on 34th Street and The Bishop's Wife for Christmas stuff, and we're doing The Apartment. And we're doing Last Christmas on got a lot of Christmas stuff. Kelsey and I covered all the holiday Christmas Marvel stuff. Kelsey, sporting bit character.
Besides the bird lady from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, I have Yukon Cornelius from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because he goes, "Oh, silver and gold."
Lick the shit. Yep.
Nothing.
Yep.
Licks
I
the
almost added
pickaxe
him.
for some reason. What a great bit. What a bit you can catch, miss,
Fumble
so
down.
easily. And then I also had, I'm so upset that my favorite Christmas movie, The Polar Express, isn't anywhere on my actual draft, because I almost
Darn.
considered picking this over Heat Miser and Snow Miser, but it's the two conductors on the Polar Express who are doing the whole bit with the hairpin trying to break the train in time, and who have to stop it because caribou, there's probably 100,000 of them, maybe even a million.
We didn't. You mentioned Yukon Cornelius, who I love, who I would have had on my list as well. We did not mention queer icon Hermes, whatever
Yes.
his situation is.
I do
Obviously,
wait, can I
gay
just-
character.
Yeah,
and I love him.
obviously a gay character. Can I just say really quick, oink, 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 oink.
So here's a weird thing. For some reason, like, I love Rudolph. I grew up loving Rudolph. I have an entire set of all the Rudolph Misfit Toys, everything ornaments, like all the characters.
Yeah.
Depressed
But
Dolly.
I put one Rudolph character on my list under non-human, and that's it. But I thought about Yukon Cornelius. I thought about her. I don't know why I didn't write them down. Like,
Okay, we forgive you. I picked Rudolph first, so we got representation, and the Misfit Toys are on there. There's a lot of good like claymation rep on our
I
list, which is great.
was a little upset I didn't get more animation on my list, but
Yeah,
it
that's
is
fair.
what it is.
Cool. So now let's transition to non-human. I think is that our no, we have villains
Villains.
after that, but non-human. Chad, what did you have for non-human?
Non-human, I had Edward Scissorhands.
Mm-hmm.
I had Bernard the Elf.
Mm-hmm.
On my list.
I had Jack Skellington,
Mm-hmm. That's
Grinch, and Clarence.
nice. Yeah, I had also had Jack Skellington. I'm surprised it wasn't picked. I just don't love that movie as much as others. Frosty the Snowman, a classic. And this was the one I thought you were going with when you're talking about the specials, Stacey. Emmett Otter's Christmas special.
Yeah. Okay.
Love Emmett Otter. And then from Matt and I's favorite Framewreck holiday special, Lumpy, the masturbating Wookiee, is definitely in contention for sure. Stacey.
He wants Kelsey. You're looking like Lumpy, which is Chewbacca's grandfather, I believe.
Yes.
Watches a hollow video, which is just basically porn in the middle of the living room on Life Day.
Life Day,
and-
not Christmas.
yeah,
Life Day.
Not Christmas, it's Life Day.
Yeah, got to make that clear. Yeah, great character though. Very close to drafting them. Stacey, any other?
And for non-humans, I have my one Rudolph character that made it, the Bumble. I love him. The Abominable
had him
Snowman. And he puts the star on and he smiles. He's so cute. Okay. I can't believe nobody has had this yet, but Max, the Grinch's dog.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I almost picked him. And my favorite one-liner from Elf is Mr. Narwhal. That's the one I
Yes.
thought you were going to
Yeah.
go with.
He was close. If someone
yeah.
else had snagged the nun, I would have gotten. Mr.
So
Narwhal.
he's in that list as well. And then Gizmo and Toothless were the other ones.
All right, Matt. Any non-humans?
By the time it gets to me, they were all picked. They're all done. No, I'm just joking. Max is the one I really wanted to talk about because that was my number one. That's the one that I was almost going to go with it, but I decided to go with Mantis. I just love Max from the animated, specifically from the animated version like that. That dog is just so put upon, and but he's so loyal, and I'm a dog person, so the dog's always going to get to me. But yeah, I love Max. Bernard from Santa Claus is also on there. Prancer from Prancer.
I thought about Prancer, and I thought no one would know what I was talking about.
And Zero.
By my house. Sorry.
Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas. His dog. Yeah.
I meant to say Zero.
Another one I considered is probably going to be under Stacey's villain, so I won't say. Kelsey, any other non-humans?
I also had Mr. Narwhal from Elf under my non-humans. I also had Max. I also had Vixen from The Year Without a Santa Claus, the deer that they take to the human world, Jingle Ball and Jingle Bell, or whatever those two
Yeah.
elves are named. And then I also thought right before I went for my final non-human pick about Jack Skeleton and Zero. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, why didn't I think of them? Like Jack
Mhm.
Skeleton would be a great pick.
Zero was on my mental list, but never written down too. I don't know what was
Yeah.
up with my list.
Because it's like dogs of non-humans, so it's like if you put the non-human,
Well,
it's the
and-
category
and
thing, yeah. Because I didn't think of the dogs either, but yeah, Max and Zero should obviously also be on the conversation. So, yeah.
I just this is a little bit of a tangent, but another Emperor's New Groove connection, which I was going to mention earlier, but it would have tipped a pick, which I don't think anybody did. But John Goodman did play Santa Claus in the live action version of Year Without a Santa Claus.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go. Another one. If you have another comment,
I didn't know there was a live action.
So I'll round it out with villains. This is where I get maybe a little controversial at the end here, but I did consider Jack Frost from Santa Claus 3, played by Martin Short. Right, Martin Short plays.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
great.
Yes, he was one of my top villains.
Yeah, I
He was
considered
a villain.
Krampus, obviously, even though that could also be non-human, but I figured like he's a villain.
Is he even? But is he a character? He's not really present in the movie.
Right. That's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he?
I
I mean, he is, but he's, but
Yeah.
not. I mean, he is, but not.
Yeah,
it's hard
I didn't know where to
it's
put
hard.
him. That's why I
it's
didn't.
a
do
little.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be like a side character or a non-human or a villain. Like it's just too hard. I just didn't include him. But the big one that I included that I'm glad I didn't have to draft because I think I would have gotten pushback and vetoes. Clark Griswold is absolutely a villain. You can't convince me otherwise. Just fucks everything up for all his kids and everyone in that movie, and then comes around. But it's the same. If you're saying Walter Hobbs is a villain, Clark Griswold also a villain, in my opinion, in that movie for sure. Stacy, any other villains?
Yeah, well, you said most of them. Jack Frost was one I strongly considered because I really love. He's the reason I like Santa Claus 3 as much as I do. I think he's a fantastic villain. And then my Christmas Carol villain. There's so many wonderful versions of A Christmas Carol, so I had to go with my beloved first ever version, and that would be with Scrooge McDuck from Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I figured that was the case.
I love it.
I love that.
Matt, any villains?
Yes. The other Alan Rickman villain, which is Harry from Love Actually.
You could also say Andrew Lincoln in that movie too. You can make it.
Well, you could, but he's
just more creepy than villains.
We could just be happy nobody picked anything from that weird ass movie.
I love that movie.
I love it too. It's weird, but I love it.
We're not going to argue about it.
I'm so tired.
Okay, sorry.
But yes, Alan Rickman's character is scum.
Scott Farkas from Christmas Story. His eyes were yellow. And Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oogie Boogie.
Kelsey, any villains?
I actually had the Bumble under villains on my end from Rudolph, and I also had the Meister Burger from Santa Claus is Coming to Town, mostly because that's so fun to say.
Yes, it is. Chad, any other villains?
Well, I want to push back one on there's not a lot of love going on in Love Actually and like the entire movie. Most of the thing, one is a guy going to America to horn in on all the American girls. There's no all right. Well, that's for another time.
That's for another draft. We'll draft rom-coms.
A Love Actually Framewreck episode, but there should be. But I will say I'm going to defend. I don't think Alan Rickman is scum in Love Actually. I think he made a terrible mistake and then he realizes it at the very end.
True,
but,
he does have a little.
No, he doesn't realize it. I'm
gonna go to bed because it's after midnight. And
he only stops because he was caught.
What other villains? Yes. What other villains do you have, Chad?
He was caught, but then you see in his face that he look. Okay, fine, that's fine. But the other villains that I had were, as Stacy mentioned before, Stripe, and then also Krampus, who isn't in most of the movie. I agree, but his design is freaking amazing if you see it. So love that.
No, I mean it's Christmas. It's all fun and jolly. And Stacy just had to go to bed. She had to go to bed at 8 when we started this. So thank you, Stacy, for joining. Really quickly, where else can they find y'all? Matt, you can find on Framewreck, obviously, and Chad on Pictures, and Kelsey on Marvel-ous Movie Mondays. But this is also the last time. Actually, no, because you two are going to address everyone on Framewreck and Picture This, respectively. But any last holiday send-offs? Matt?
No. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Kelsey, any other plugs or farewell? This is the last time you'll address the channel for this year.
Happy holidays. Can't wait to talk about What If Season 2.
Yeah. Is it out already? No,
It's out
today.
tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Well, yeah, today. Yeah.
Well, today, right now.
Well, whenever
At
you're all
3
looking at
a.m.
this, it's already out. Chad, any other last words?
Stay tuned to my channel, Chadwick Webb, because we're probably going to do like a live Christmas ranking or
Nice.
something of the sort. But yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas all. This was a lot of fun. I know there was argument, but that's because of passion, and that's what makes draft day fun. I mean, you all say you want more drama. We gave you that today. So thank you for all the comments, especially. Thank you from Iceland and everywhere else. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.